Welcome back to VESL Season 2 this time for Rocket League alongside my good friend Ale Monkey Man. My name is Bearlight and we're going to get into the action here momentarily. What we're bringing you here is the state qualifier. We head to the group stage here in day 1, but we got quite the week ahead of us, Ale Monkey Man.
It's going to be a wild week. A lot of group stage play, best of threes, which really are unforgiving. And thereafter, everyone trying to make it to the bracket stage, but everyone looking forward to making the big lands, of course, at the end of the competition. Bear, we get to see a sample size of the great state of North Carolina, and now it's expanded all the way across here for VESL. And I honestly got to say, I'm just super duper excited.
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting to see the multitude of regions we have here across the state of North Carolina, starting with CMS League last season, formerly known as. There is so much talent that grows over the course of a season that we got to learn from one region. The fact that we're bringing in so many individuals from this state is so incredibly exciting to me because we get to see so much talent from places that you may not have thought of before, from players who may have been too timid to join in on. And now they have this league that they can shine and really prove and take their skills here in Rocket League to the test.
I really hope everyone takes everything that Bear just says, put it on a poster, and look at in the morning and get inspired to just wake up to face the day, because that's exactly how you should feel. We've seen these teams, we've seen these programs, these schools be able to really find their mark, their spark, and be able to hark into the great unknown, adventure against each other. And it was so exciting to be able to see it capped off at the Panther Stadium last time around. And I know everyone's excited to try and get back to the same mark, but it's a lot more teams. I think we're at over 100 teams across so many groups. You got to come to the top 3 of 4 teams. But Bear, again, like I said, best of 3. It's a sprint. It's unforgiving, and you have to be ready at the very start of it.
About as cutthroat as you can get, right? And that's what makes it so exciting, right? That's why you have to put it and lay it all out on the line. Not to mention, Rocket League has been a title with this program since the beginning, since inception of it, a couple of years ago when it was in the makings. And so, with that time and extra effort comes higher expectations as well. Some of the teams that have been here before with CMS, right? These teams have high expectations coming in. There are some teams that were looking for that improvement in the offseason. And part of that is really trying to really tune into your team, tune into your school, and find that talent and find players that are willing to put in the work. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to matter most.
And of course, I love the excitement that really kind of comes about from these STEM programs. We're going to be seeing a lot of that develop into the next semester. A lot of this is to establish that varsity esports side of all these teams. And then we got to see that application and development that really comes from a lot of these academic, very focused students. So we want to see that continue. But today, you're going to be seeing a lot of matches coming through group stages. And there's a lot of esports squads that will immediately see their competition run short of it. And Bear, we have our first matchups going into it. There's a lot of squads up in front of us, and I think we're ready to get into it. And I think I can say no Ravens, maybe.
Oh my!
Caster bias.
Yeah, just a little bit. One of your favorite teams last season. Not only do they have an awesome name, they had an awesome team, but they only have one player returning. It's ID Faye, right? Coming in as a sophomore this year, the freshman led their team in scoring and also made the All-Star round as well in season 1. So making that All-Star talent is not a small feat. There are a lot of teams to get through, and this kid was talented. And so coming up in the sophomore level, we'll have all eyes on ID Faye and what he can do with this new roster made up of what looks like Victor and Kazati. We're going to double check and make sure we know the pronunciation. Regardless, sophomore and sophomore respectively too. So this is a relatively young team overall and looking to build off. And it looks like we're heading right into it now. Rocky River A facing off with Charlotte Engineering on the other side, another familiar name.
Yeah, this is going to be Seek, who is seeking redemption after the previous season. It didn't exactly give them the results that they were looking for, but obviously as we were able to personify and really build all of the extra egos for these squads, they want to be able to find themselves in a competitive position and posture. You cannot be caught behind. Game number 1 already on lock. Remember, these are BO3s, so you have to be ready from the very first whistle, and it's a bit of chaos in the box for Seek. Their team A, as Rocky River Ravens are trying to put them in the box.
All right, it's going to be a 5-star, able to kind of tap it down, but he didn't really do much as Victor will play it across the box and leave it for a teammate here. And now Rocky River really running things here. And this showing across the box, it goes. Another shot taken, but a little bit off the mark here. And Victor right to it. Every single touch has been challenged by Rocky River as they consistently play on this pressure. And Charlotte Engineering needs to do a better job of really attacking and anticipating some of these plays. Otherwise, it's going to be a long series.
I'm going to go with just Kazak's tea. I don't know if I'm ready to spill that kind of tea out there, but you're very much correct. The engineers trying to engineer their way out of their own defensive half, but it becomes the first one, the 1-2 connection. Guess who? It's that previous season all-star and ID Faye from Kaz on the feed.
What a great pass, playing it high. And that's just showing the confidence that you have in your teammates to play it up to that level and right on the target. So that combination, you'll expect to see a little bit more frequently too. Obviously, what you want to do in these best of threes is get your strongest players that you've had from last season, get them involved early and get them going. Because if you can do that and they're on fire, then these best of threes, you can just melt through teams as you go.
They're going to be doing that a lot more often because right now Seek is struggling to just get further connections. They do have their back linesman and able to just find that clear as Mock Dinosaur that's able to not just be mock, but be real. No pseudo here. They are for real. Kaz on the drop down, and that's a fumble, and Victor has to play this one slow, working for that low side 50, and now it takes a trio of Rocky River Ravens to be able to get their way in. So 2:20 remaining here in game number 1, but crashing through alone again. Say no more. They find that first score.
They got a team with them, not alone anymore. And that was perfectly placed off that corner as well. And you don't really see Rocky River hesitate on those defensive challenges, but the last man back was a little slow to get that one. That's just a mistake that they'll have to try and brush off. But, I mean, credit to this Charlotte Engineering team. They didn't have the best of luck last season. It was a rough go, but at the end of the day, it's all about improvement. We said it from the get-go, and it proves true here as they at least get their first goal on the board. And right now, it'll be Charlotte Engineering trying to settle and put on more pressure, perhaps, as that one's left. But nobody back in support, all the way back, and looking to kind of chop at it here. As 5, as he will go forward, beats one member of the defense. It was ID Faye, but Victor there, not going to hesitate that time defensively. Will get it up the center.
You've not seen a lot of clean play here recently in the last couple of minutes by the Ravens. They've really just been kind of chucking up things upfield and then working to corral all the engineers from Seek. And at this point in time, they've not been as aggressive, and that's allowed a lot more floor space to be given away. So Seek has had a lot more opportunities. ID Faye is going to be at least that top tip of the spear to try and drive their way out of their own box. And Rocky River then contends to drive another one straight into the stripes. Victor will reestablish a 2-goal lead, and the Rocky River Ravens back on top bigger.
Just as I mentioned, it's important to get your hot hand going, if you will. The player that's really popping off and has that pop-up potential. Everybody getting involved, that doesn't hurt either. And so Victor launching that one after a defensive mishap a little bit earlier is definitely a good sign for this Rocky River team. Getting everybody involved, and Kaz wants part of it as well. Almost got the double. We'll head out to the front of the box. Shot taken, and in Victor again. And he's got 2 goals off 3 shots. And Rocky River up 4-1.
And that is just, you see the defense from Seek really has kind of struggled to be able to at least find a connection from the back goal line. And they kind of are waiting in open waters for Rocky River, unchallenged, open and just at the top of their front third. And that's not where you want to find a majority of those shots going, especially because they're elevating nice, not able to collect the flip reset and looking for maybe a back pass, but it becomes pure on bumper cars. That's what you want to see, a nice power flick to at least extend this part of the pitch. 50 seconds to go, diving, crashing the gate, and bowling one through. The engineers do find one, but they have to find multiples of this very swiftly.
Yeah, that's a great start, a great step in the right direction, and Kaz was there to meet him, but just came up a little bit wide. It looked like they had support as well, Victor, on that far bar, but he didn't come back out in support, and so, I mean, if the defense is going to sleep on it like that, Charlotte Engineering, I mean, that's definitely what you want to do is to be opportunistic and get that goal and at least be back within 2. But you're right, Hill Monkey Man, definitely a long way to go. 5 gaining possession, though. He'll flick it forward. This one's sure to be challenged. ID Faye actually misses. Now 5 back to you. This touch going to be over the net. A chance to follow up alone again. They're back within 1 with just 27 seconds left.
And Alone Again going to start changing their name because they're being fed at least a couple of great opportunities and then a fantastic idea going on top of the ball, bouncing it underneath the goalie who committed for at least that 50-50 joust. And all of a sudden, Bear, this is not a runaway. This is not a rocky boat that the Rocky River is at the helm of. It's Seek who's been able to find these responses. IDFA will be able to get a catch, but that's contingent on what Victor is going to be positioned as. Oh, and a nice demo by Kaz will at least give them some time and space, but 10 seconds to go, and these engineers got to really start pushing forward.
Rocky River just trying to get it clear, but it's not going to go very far. It's out the center as 5 will try to chip it, pass across, but not ready for it. Was alone, doesn't make the wall, and Rocky River going to take game number 1. But Charlotte Engineering, Hail Monkey Man, they were truly building something as that game went on.
Yeah, and you can wait, 12 assists. That's crazy. I don't know if that one's correct, but the pressure game was on, and I believe that, yes, that was from Rocky River, able to get a lot more demos, and of course, just kind of forcing Seek to have to respond, and instead of Seek setting the tone and the pace of the game in the first place. So that's an interesting vector, as Rocky River didn't exactly have to play from the first whistle to the end. It's like they played from the first whistle till like maybe the 4th minute, and they'd already done the damage. Seek was trying and starting to find their footing, but we got to see them be able to really do that in earnest, especially now that they've dropped this first game.
Yeah, again, best of 3s are going to really bring it to you. We'll see what they can do from here. We head over to Havelock facing off with Roxborough, a couple teams that we haven't gotten to witness, or at least I haven't personally. Excited to see these teams and what they're going to be offering here throughout this season. Of course, it all begins here with a bit of a sneak peek, right? And obviously these teams are going to develop over time. They're going to kind of create their own personality over time. And right now, Havelock is definitely making sure their reputation is on the positive side as we start the season.
Yeah, this is a sample size that maybe will begin to grow, and I got actually some intel from one of our other awesome producers in Blasky. They said Havelock is a great football program over there for the state of North Carolina.
Nice.
So I guess maybe football and football are translating just as well. A ginormous banger from Gangi or Gangi, whichever it is, but so far, Havelock has been able to really contain Roxborough, as this is one of the newest into this VESL competition as they come over from the Coastal Division. And, I mean, it looks like they've started on the right foot.
Again, these are teams that, you see these players perhaps in some smaller tournaments across the Rocket League community, but to see them come in at this high school level, and at this point in time, you have to really build a team. You don't really have, too many options, obviously, unless you're an Audrey Kell, where everybody plays Rocket League, apparently. It's not going to be the case for all these schools. So you have to really build a team and find players that not only you do well with in-game, but these are also teams you're going to compete side by side with as well. Right now, Havelock looks like they're very comfortable playing with one another, whether that's preparation walking into the season, or that's just, them playing since, the inception of Rocket League, or at least an extended period of time. Either way, the results are definitely there.
It's also kind of, it's dealer's choice, and often not, of what kind of players you're getting coming to your program, and you can be able to develop them, you can be able to have them improve, but sometimes a school just has the players, sometimes they don't. And high school, I mean, as much as people tell you that there's no recruiting going on, I'm from Texas and I know what kids moved where for football. But for esports, there's a lot more in-house, that you get that kind of support when it comes from teachers that take their extra time to do it with these clubs and be able to find themselves really giving these students maybe their first ounce, their first dose of competition in the first place. And at this point, Havelock, they obviously have really good players that are just comfortable in what they're doing in current group stages. And really, that's a good look for them, because we're going to be filtering out so many of these teams to be able to go to that Thursday and Friday bracket stage to get them into that regional. And that maybe will galvanize them as well as inspire other squads that want to improve.
So I wanted to hear your opinion on this as well, and I'll give mine to kind of kick it off. When you see teams like Havelock up 6-0 at this point in time, you're going to win this series. It feels that way, right? And so you see them with these flip resets, trying to be fancy off the walls. Is that something that screams confidence? Or is that something that you're nervous at, knowing that their focus could fall down at some point in time when they get a lead against a team that may be a little bit stronger than Roxborough?
I would think that if I either don't have a good, or if I don't have a coach with me, or maybe I do, or maybe I just have at least another student that kind of wants to be in control, be it on the team or otherwise, you have to treat every single series as its own sample, as its own isolated event. So you may come into this one, Roxborough may not be the greatest opponent that you've ever seen for Havelock, but you're doing the work necessary. You need to beat who you're supposed to beat. Then they go into game one of the next series. None of this situation, double flip resets and all, will be given to you for free. You have to feel it out through those first minutes. And thereafter, I'm pretty sure they'll know the identity and the vibe of what team they're facing off against. But I would say each one is its own isolated feature that you have to treat differently each time.
No doubt about it. So Havelock definitely running the table here on Roxborough. That's going to be a very big learning experience for Roxborough. Let's head back to the original game that we were watching in the first place. Remember, Charlotte Engineering was building something in that game number 1, but Rocky River right back at you with a 2-0 lead, but Charlotte Engineering knocking on the doorstep.
I like what I'm seeing already, even though there's less than 2 minutes to go. Rocky River, they didn't exactly find a clean win at the end of game number 1. It was 4-3. They'd done the work earlier, and it was more of a comeback kid kind of story being built up for Seek. But Seek, I mean, even us just coming into this moment, you can tell that they've limited Rocky River's offensive possessions. You have 90 seconds to go, and if they find that same kind of execution, just being able to get these clears, which is so difficult whenever they just run upfield, and guess what? That is a 2v1 against Kaz, but Kaz makes a great turnaround, and still the Seek, or Engineers, are trying to find themselves a solution.
They finally connect with a couple of passes here, and that'll get them out of the zone and out of hot water, because it was definitely, mounting upon them. They were able to at least escape the zone, and they want to keep it here for the rest of this. The one pet peeve I have are teams that get these leads early, and then they just back off and play on their heels. Yes, you want to, kill the clock in a sense, but you want to do so in the other side of the field, right? You can't have the Charlotte Engineering squad come and snap back at you. Sometimes I get nervous. But at the same time, you have Rocky River with a bit of an insurance goal, 50 seconds left, and it might just be out of reach for Charlotte Engineering.
You were able to define my entire frustration with forever watching the Sooners. For some reason, go up 35. I'm like, cool, all right, we're doing great. Let's run the ball starting in the third quarter. Why? No. Why? Now, to these guys' credit, if they feel like they're in control, get the points you need, get the dub, and then make it done. And of course, if you're doing that straight from this kickoff, rip to the graphics, but Victor themselves, they find this almost immediately. And Rocky River, they're showcasing they're going to take this one by storm, probably on the inevitable 2-0.
No doubt about it. For me, when I'm thinking about Charlotte Engineering here, this is just round 1 of the group stage, and you want to see a little bit of a comeback effort here. There's not going to be a whole lot of teams out here as talented as Rocky River, has been proven to be last season. And, this time around, it didn't go your way. You showed heart in game number 1. So I'm really going to judge them based off how they close this out. If it's truly a give up effort, or lack of effort rather, versus trying to put one on the board and get a goal, then there's concern for Charlotte Engineering. I thought they did great in game number 1 to show that heart, but I'd like to see them continue that, so that way when they hit round 2, they can hit the ground rolling here.
Yeah, and you also think mathematically. I mean, that's where maybe the Engineers' heads are at right now, is you just need to not be the last place team in your group. So you're like, you know what? We surrender this one to Rocky River. We're trying to see what kind of pace that we can begin with going into our next series. We just got to win one. I mean, feasibly, mathematically, maybe. But Rocky River, they won one, then they won another one. And they'll take this first round as a 2-0 sweep over the Seek Engineers, who will be seeking their first one. And that's one step away for the Ravens to qualify for the big bracket stage.
And it was ID Faye that was creating plays there late. I know everybody else was getting involved too, but you like to see your leader who's been there, done that, to really bring that experience into the chat, into the comms. And it showed. It truly showed that this team has what it takes to be one of the top teams in the CMS League. And last season, they were a bit of underdogs and still were able to kind of fight through and surprise the world as far as how far they were able to advance in that final bracket. For Charlotte Engineering, you could say the same in game number 1, how close they played Rocky River. And at the end of the day, it's like, do you brush it off the shoulders? Because Rocky River, again, as strong as they are, they were able to close out. Maybe they were just trying to figure it out too, because they were 2/3 of a new team as well. So we'll see if that is the case, Hill Monkey Man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough. Just you're still finding your identity. I think that really is one of the most difficult things to do, especially from semesters to semester, because you have players that are able to graduate out. And Rocky River, I mean, IDFA one is going to be that kind of anchor that really is relied upon. They were a freshman to start off their career for CMS, and then moving over to VESL, and they're over here as a sophomore. And I think really building around them with both Victor as well as Kaz is going to be a good look. Seek overall, I know that they have players that are still trying to be able to kind of progress, and this is actually one of the better looks that we've seen from them. I know that seems kind of rough seeing it, it's 5-0, but otherwise, they had a tough game one into them, and they just came up a little bit short. But otherwise, like what I've seen, I think that we're going to be going to the other side with Havelock in the game to finish out their next one. So we're just going to be going through our first rounds, and of course, you guys are going to be seeing a lot of, let's call it just red zone style. I don't know what the equivalent of soccer is, but we're going to be flip-flopping a lot between all these games today, as well as through the next few days.
And it makes perfect sense too, it being, the kickoff event truly of the new season, where we get to explore a little bit of everybody, right? Everybody gets a little bit of screen time. Well, most people will, at least, and most players will. And so we get to learn who's who, if you will. So I'm excited to see who's going to really step up. Obviously, ID Faye, we said he had the experience the last time around, but to see his teammates kind of gather around him was super cool too. But you're right, Charlotte Engineering stepped in the right direction, because we've seen worse games than 5-0. I don't mean to call him out to throw him under the bus, but that's a step in the right direction for sure, especially how close they were able to play them. Now, that being said, we saw the A team for Havelock. They've got two teams. Some of these high school teams, Hill Monkey Man, they're very deep, and they've got a lot of players within their school that play the game of Rocket League at a respectable level.
Yeah, there's a ton of teams. I think at that minimum per school, we're looking at like A and B teams. I think some of these even have C teams. And that's not even to say that the C team is worse than the A team. As soon as any kind of administrator, any kind of teacher says, hey, who wants to play video games? You're going to have a ton of students shooting their hands into the sky and be like, hey, yeah, please and thank you, especially with $9,000 on the line to be able to give to these awesome students in their programs. So that's really, it's a no-brainer. If you do that with me whenever I was still in high school, we're not going to talk about that. Maybe there's been some motivation going even further around those clubs, but I love that they're able to get that kind of participation, especially with these students are putting in the extra time on top of their academics.
High school Hill Monkey Man's like, hey, I'm ready to lose.
Wow. I mean, you're not wrong. Come on. Yeah.
Oh, we go back to the A-Block series here against Roxborough. And in the first 10 seconds, they've already struck twice. Wow.
First 12 seconds, man, just quick numbers. Chalatas, who was just looking for the double tap, and they find it straight on the defender's nose, who was trying to corral it from the goal line. And like you were talking about, we have a plethora of talent. Now, there's also varying amounts of support that those get from each of the different schools, because some of them, I mean, you have freshman students, but there's also very freshman and fledgling support systems. And this kind of present and public competition gives them that ability to get even more people involved, coaches alike. And I like that Roxborough, no matter the hits they take, they still keep swinging. Havelock, much the same, but a big miss by Chalatas.
Gangi's gonna try and hit Chicken, who's already pre-jumping. That wasn't a double commit. That was them trying to freestyle, and they almost pulled it off, to be honest. So that was kind of creative, kind of cool, but they missed the shot nonetheless. Now it's Roxborough's chance to try and get their first goal of the series, and it wasn't to be there. We'll fall back to Volt Fire, who's got this touch in the corner. Red all the way, the shot taken and in. So this team just, I mean, they're so tough, but going back to what you're saying, I mean, with experience, at the competitive level, these players aren't going to be what you find in the bubble scene of Rocket League community, right? They're not going to be top-level players per se, although some of them are. And yet, still, at the same time, that's something that a lot of higher-ranked players are lacking. is that competitive scene that they can actually, perform in. And so you make a solid point saying VESL is the perfect spot to really test your talent while being able to get that experience in that competitive environment.
And because it also fits well within not just an varsity esports sphere, but they're going to be providing that level of competition when it comes to the STEM side, which is honestly
Yep.
is a big fat nerd. That's like my favorite end. Computer science, come on, like it's basically a full definition of and touches on everything that we do these days. So these students know that maybe an L here is a W on the other side when it comes to either clicking the sticks or just being able to find great app development type stuff. So with the first couple of minutes come and gone, Havelock continues to keep Roxborough contained. And that, I mean, it's also great looking at what you have for these players that come from ranked. They're like, yeah, man, I can definitely do this. Well, they're putting their money where their mouth is.
No doubt. And some of these high-ranked players that we talk about are also really good at coding, right? JT Williams, I'm looking at you. Multiple teams that are just really good at the game of Rocket League and in STEM. So, you have your strengths you can play to, and if you have both, then my goodness, you're going to be a team to look out for. I'm trying to find, which teams are going to be the JT Williams, which are talented across the board. So not just, not just balanced, but also just incredibly talented at both. You're not going to find it everywhere, no, and I understand that, but you like to see those teams when they perform because it's just good to use them as an example piece of how can I improve my skills both on the field and when it comes to programming.
Yeah, and we have that holistic mindset. I mean, my mom, hey, shout out mom, because she's actually here at my house today. Just being able to find a completely eclectic style of person is really what we call for, because you're going to have competition, you're going to have video games, but you're also going to have the what comes next, and there is always a comes next that comes for a lot of these players. And right now, coming next for Roxborough, they're not exactly going to have been able to make at least the greatest first step here in round number 1 for this group stage. 100 seconds will be ticking up real quickly as Havelock has been able to kind of do the work necessary, make it into a demolition fest, and looking for a few extra touches. But otherwise, you really hope that they not only stay competitive, but stay humble, and that they want to at least keep the next opponent in mind and not just assume that it'll be these same kind of results. But they're doing great work right now in front of us, and that's really all you can ask for.
They really did prove themselves as a stronger team here in the division coming up. And one of the cool things that I like to see about VESL as well is the fact that even if you do drop in this tournament and across, the multitude of different, let's talk about like states, for example, right? When all of these divisions come together, for example, we're in Coastal right now. Even if you don't make the playoffs or states for that matter, you still have somebody to cheer for. You still have skin in the game. You want to make sure that, your region is absolutely competitive and at its highest level too. So you have even more support across the board there too. And sure, you're gonna have rivalries when it comes to season time, and that's also fun to explore with too. So there's never a dull moment from start to finish.
Yeah, not at all. I love being able to see that, because a lot of these students they've kind of jabbed at each other. They've probably been talking it up in their own particular region, and then when you finally find a bit of cross pollination, so they'd be able to just kind of talk to one another, then that creates both rivalries and friendships that persist in memories in the forthcoming future. So, great job overall, Havelock. They've done exactly what they were supposed to do and what was necessary to be able to get this first 2-0. They get it done early. They're going to find an extra exclamation point because they just straight up can. Roxborough, there's still a lot of games in front of them, and they're hoping that they're going to be a bit longer and they'll be able to be a bit stronger.
You know, rally the troops. The last thing you want to do is get in your own heads. You know that there's going to be like talented players if you've seen any of the CMS League, right? And even if you haven't, if you know the competitive game of Rocket League in general, there's lots of talent out there, and so you just got to find a way to take the next step. And a lot of times, it's just being able to, work with the group, play with your teammates consistently, get on the same page as your teammates. And sometimes, even though your rank isn't there, your skill, technically from a mechanical standpoint, isn't there, some of those teams will surprise the teams that have all the mechanics when it comes to late in the season, because they put in the work together. They have that chemistry, and that can go even further than the mechanics in some instances.
Very well. But Havelock finally putting the horse to bed. It's going to be them taking this one. And you know what? I realized this entire time, I got to figure out their mascot. There's still so much to learn about so many of these schools.
Right?
But a great job by Gangi Chicken and Chiladas. And we have a lot of schools that we're going to have to learn about, Bear. This 100 plus schools. Also, I think I deciphered 13 assists is not real. I'm pretty sure shots and assists were flipped. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's what it is.
There we go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So 13 shots on net. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Good eye, by the way.
I'm trying. Look, the comp sci major paid off, I guess. Can math.
Oh my goodness. What an exciting time here. We get to learn so many new names, so many new teams, so many new mascots. I know that's your favorite thing. That's your go-to.
That's great.
Sure. So absolutely love it. So again, multiple rounds though. That's just round one of what will be 4 rounds, I believe. 3 rounds. It's 3 rounds because 4 teams. That's correct. 80 teams in here to learn. That's ridiculous. But all these are best of 3s, like you mentioned, cutthroats. We'll get through one after another. You just have to place in the top 3 out of 4, right, to advance. Obviously, you want to be number 1 in your group. That advances you a little bit further, like you were touching on before. And so, easy way to guarantee that is just win all your matches, right? It's easy said is done, right?
Yeah, easy dubs. Just get the wins and just, you get to rest and not have to do anything else. But you guys, you get to take a rest as we're going to take a short break. Round number 2, maybe 1 for some, and other divisions, more Rocket League, VESL. We'll be right back with you right after this.
VESL Season 2 Regional Qualifiers continues here. Hail Monkey Man and Bear Light with you. We head into Providence versus Huff. Huff right now 1-0 in this game number 1. A couple of teams that we're also familiar with. Breaking down the Providence team, Mailbox into Shadows, and Debonair is a name that I know and familiar with, but I'm not sure which one this is, but Failed Sins, regardless, getting himself on the board to equalize early, Hail Monkey Man.
Yeah, this is a great equalizer because I think if I remember correctly, Huff has at least one returning player, and that is Yak. So like seeing Yak being able to come back around and they kind of spread out the field. And that's the other thing that we didn't really touch point on is you have your veterans that were with us in the previous couple of semesters and seasons for CMS. That evolving into VESL, and you're trying to either find your best team and create kind of your varsity to JV and A to B, or you try to really spread your diversity for your veteranship and see if those can become IGLs and big players. And it looks like it's paid off for Huff as now they're trying to survive on defense.
What a big save there. A couple of times. It took a dual man effort, but they were able to get to it. And Debonair wasn't able to connect there. He had a great opportunity there to the top of the box, but it will be cleared out eventually by Lion. And Mailbox couldn't do much, just had to tap and left in a vulnerable spot, and Lion makes him pay.
That was a huge clear. Lion able to just chuck it, and then Mailbox, unfortunately, having a backflip, which there's just zero chance that you're going to be able to get enough power to send that over to the corner. So, Huff, now with a position to be able to capitalize and then build upon this lead. Providence had that early start, but it's game ones of these first rounds, and we're going to be also looking at many of these graphics when it comes to the group standings, because when you talk about what work needs to be done, you just have to get a couple series win. I say that it sounds easy, it's not, but Huff is at least taking the great first step to rebound into this matchup where Providence did start hot.
Yeah, and these two teams were very even last season, but Huff is trying to make it not so much, a little bit lopsided here. As KZAB able to just kind of pre-flip it there, honestly, and got that touch off the post. A bit of fortune there on that last bump, but it's all because he jumped into the box with a purpose and was able to get that touch in the first place.
Honestly, the floating adjustment, you're like, okay, we're cool. I'm just going to kind of crash the box, and then realizing it's going to go more lateral of you, and you still have your flip after that second and a half. Oh, and then doing a dirty Lion. Getting the Lion's share of possession as well as dribbling. Huff taking him to school right now.
He used his paws to claw right through the defense and chop him up and was able to go end to end. Great skills on the ground shown in Huff. Yes, they've gone and grown to a 4-1 lead in what looked like an even split here. In a minute, they've gotten 3 back-to-back-to-back. And Providence looking for that answer, finding anything. Shot taken, they do, as Failed Sins goes far post. Will loot the last defender, and they're at least back within 2.
That's one of the players I was looking at for Providence to really be consistent. A nice shot behind Lion. That's a great placement in the opposite side corner. They had everything in front of them from that first, basically 60% of the net, but it's that gap behind that really was the death knell. So Providence stays in this game. It's not quite a rout. The Huskies have been able to get themselves at least a few yards ahead, and they're keeping everything at least to that midfield line. Failed Sins. Again, the call out, the player, the tap down, and the big save.
Yeah, it was huge coming back down from the top side, but yeah, those mechanics are showing up here for Providence. As Failed Sins waiting for it too. Great setup from Debonair. The 50 off that top post and in. It'll be Failed Sins as he just waited for that one to come back down. Set up by Debonair with that good 50-50 to challenge Lion.
Really isolating Lion, both upfield and back, has given Providence looks and being able to take this one. I mean, it was a 4-1 diff bear. This one was started with Providence on top, probably from great shooting out of Failed Sins like it has been lately. But Huff was able to take advantage of them when they were just not ready for it. And now upfield one more time, trying to be able to feed it into the box, but no threat is there. Oh, working for the fakes and now working from the ground. It's Providence that's using Huff's entire game plan against them.
They almost found Mailbox on the far side too. Yeah, Failed Sins has really impressed me. Not only with the mechanics like I mentioned, but also with his smart game sense. It'll bail him out again defensively for Providence, as he was able to knock that one away to the corner. Tried to settle it down as well, but Debonair ran into him. Luckily, third man back. That's about the only time you want to really triple commit or have 3 people in that same area, as he was able to bail them out. But Debonair couldn't do much. Shot taken answered by Mailbox as he jumped up proactively. Not going to let that shot come to him. He was able to get to it, but Lion back down. The bouncer, the touch from Mailbox, but it's left on a platter. And Lion will tap that one away. Huff back up by 2.
That defensive miscue, the communication was just kind of lackluster. No one knew who was going to be the next one to go. Both commit, and that means that everyone is late, trying to get the squishy after the first 2 teammates miss it on the slow bouncer. And I feel this one in my soul. That one, you never know where it's going to kind of stop and flop, and people think it's going to go to the backboard, and it didn't. Instead just goes underneath the crossbar. But wait a minute, hold on. Debonair is going to make it easy for Mailbox. They get it right back, Bear.
Mailbox posted that one front and center, able to get the boxes.
Nice.
Debonair with a touch to get 2 of them, almost a rainbow as they went opposite ways. And yeah, all you have to do is just put the defense in a compromising position. They start diving for it. You got open space to work with. You dive in yourself. You've got this. Back within 1, but now 2. Mark almost taken right back, but Yak wasn't able to finish it.
Jeremiah just so close, and they were trying to get that one into another insurance position, but now less than a half minute to go. Does Providence get even faster and feistier? Do the Huskies find themselves in a better defensive posture, trying to steal that midfield boost, but it's actually taken away. Failed sends, looking for 1 extra touch, and everyone pretty low on boost, save 1 of Lion, but Jeremiah is creating a distraction, all of a dance, if you will. They call the second man, and that's a big win by Lion. Now with Providence, they need to press up. This ball hanging just loosely in the middle of the pitch. Debonair looking for the joust. It's going to be on the noodle of Mailbox. Failed sends, trying to get some extra push onto it. They're looking for some bumps. 0-second time to the backboard. 1 out to the outside. The takeaway by Jeremiah, and it continues to be chaos. They've kept it up, but for how much longer? Not any further. Huff. Oh, they squeaked through with a win.
They wanted to make you huff and puff. Use all your voice until the very end, but they eventually kill it. But that's that heart I was talking about last series. There you go, Providence. One of the ones trying to get back to it. I'm so excited for a team that just lost a game in a best of 3. But at the end of the day, again, that just shows you they weren't willing to give up. Mailbox was trying to keep it alive there. Field Sins did a great job to really, keep them mentally focused, knowing that they can win this game. It can win a game in this series. And you win 1, you bring it to a game number 3, and then suddenly you're talking business here. I thought Providence did a good job to hang around, and we've had nothing but exciting matches to kick us off. This is no exception.
Yeah, and then we're actually going to be going straight into another one, which immediately on your screen, Northside, one of our newest competitors, is able to double up their lead against Edge EC as they just drill one through. Now, I believe these guys come over from, I'm going to use my cheat sheet, I think the Foothills or Coastal Division. So great to be able to see new academies and, or actually, no, is this the Independence? Look, I'm going to find them, okay? Either way, doing a great job.
They're doing so great. So great.
They're doing good.
so good. I don't even think it's any of that. We'll figure it out as we go. It's fine. They'll let us know at Prod. By the way, Prod, great job bringing us into that game with right at the moment they took that shot. A shout out and love to them for the great job they do consistently. And Northside, shout out to them. Quick lead, trying to build on it too. They've gotten a majority of the shots and continue to linger here in this corner where Edge is trying to take the edge off.
This is actually the Coastal Division. Yay, I found it. So shout out to all the stats that we were given too. But Edge at this point in time has been unable to at least find their first score, 90 seconds to go. And it's been a lot of midfield just melee, a big takeaway and kind of overt rotations. That's going to put this one upfield. Spirals trying to turn at least the corner. But look how quickly Northside just scrambles. It is a 3v1. That would be the scariest thing in the world to go against. It's because just traffic is unnegotiable. And Spiral's waiting for at least a free look, and it turns into a huge 50. That's on the parabola, and that's on target, but the takeaway is there.
Yeah, Mari got back to it. And Spiral still on it, though. Quick catch and turn, but lost it off the hood of his car. Still being a nuisance, though, as now Mari wasn't able to connect. Edge still on it. Edge come. Trying to cause any kind of chaos there from Northside, but really, they're just lingering. Not much happening. Not much developing. Edge allowed this chance to continue to press on. That's a shot. Not a lot of velocity on it, though, and the defensive north side will stand strong.
This is the A team for both sides, as this is Edgecombe. trying to just at least edge their way into what could be a winnable situation. You've had a lot of shots and now a bouncer as I think that's Sean. I don't know. I'm just going to take a guess. Sean is able to find one through a floating loose ball play, and Mari is just a little bit late to the party. And this is something that really has been developing by Edgecombe for a hot minute there. And they really, if they can find early possession, might be able to run this into an overtime.
Oh, off the kickoff, they almost found it, but it's delivered directly back in by Northside. Very glad you said Sean as well. I would have embarrassed myself and said, like... Schwinn, I think was what I was gonna go with.
Yeah,
nobody's named Schwinn. Hello. This one's
except for
bouncing.
the mic.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't know how else to say it. This one's still up though. As Edge tried to keep it alive, but it won't be that 0 second, 15 second, 0 second chance. You know what I'm trying to say. Northside on top here with this victory. And you know, this one super close. You know, when you have a bunch of teams thrown in that haven't played together or played against one another, you know, you tend to have these one-sided affairs, but that's not one of them.
No, it's not. And hey, that's a Schwinn for the side of Northside. But we're going to go to who's looking for the next Schwinn between Providence and Huff. And look at this one. It could be the makings of our first game 3 of the day. Providence started with a 1-0 in game number 1. Huff was able to make a massive comeback and bury them under 4 goals, a 5th as well. And now trying to find a 3rd. Or I think the Pumas, not the Panthers. I forgot between Providence as well as Palisades, which one is which. Ooh. Either way, we're at the midway mark and more, and Providence still holds this lead.
Man, disrespecting my alma mater like that is crazy, man. The Providence,
what are they?
They're the Panthers.
Okay.
And they're also striking again as Field sends. Showed up in game 1, showed up in game 2 as well as the Panthers pounce.
Panther pounce. Battlestar Galactica. I'm pretty sure that was the quote. But, all right, look, this is a great comeback when you think of it between game 1 and game 2, because you had Failed Sins that was really starting to lead a stellar counter against Huff, but the Huskies did so much damage in the early part of that game after being down early that they just weren't able to recover. Now Providence in a position of control. Mailbox, a great carry, and that's actually be a stellar pass. It goes crossbar and out. A save that has to ricochet. That's a loose ball. The third man actually turned off. Providence had to look at a 4th.
The Lions turned to bounce there as they're able to just get down and make that save. Now, yeah, looking to build off that. Back to Kai. Right back down to you. Shot taken, but well wide of the mark as that one goes all the way to the corner. Can't really even call it much of a shot. Unfortunately, just careened off the side of his car, but he'll try to brush that off the shoulders. But a quick flick from Debonair as Mailbox will mail it high. Debonair just trying to shovel it back, but Lion read that all the way. This will fall back to Field Sins. He was so patient, allowing the play to come to him. In Mailbox off this corner, that's on target. No, it didn't matter. Debonair there to clean up the loose change. Providence continues to jump on this Huff team.
Mailbox sending that up as some airmail, and then it's turned into U.S. ground as that one's thrown through by Debonair with 72 seconds to go. I think you and I are on the precipice of an inevitable game number 3. As the Panthers are able to find a 5th. Immediately, they took that previous game personally.
They really did, and you like to see that. Some fire in this team. So a lot of times, the high school level, sometimes you're just so in your head about how we're going to construct a game plan, or, you know, more accurately in Rocket League, how are we going to mesh together well? How are we going to play together as a team? And sometimes you forget to have fun with it, but at the same time, have passion with it. Get angry, right? These emotions, as long as they're controlled and under control, then you can really be a special team. And that's what Providence has truly proven they can do in this game. And it just continues to get worse and worse here for Huff.
I can feel both the coach and the musician in you. Just like, channel these emotions into great outcomes. And you're right. That's exactly what we want to see out there. And, you know, it's just about where these the heads are at and making sure that, especially Huff, the Huskies, don't end up in a bad position because they have surrendered 6 goals and been able to obtain none. Trying for at least one big counterplay, but there's just not enough elevation in Lion in order to be king of the jungle on that. Maybe oh my goodness, what a play. Failed Sin will find a 7th, and now we're looking for Brazil.
At this point, yeah, Providence is going to surrender one on purpose. What a passing play, though. You got to give them credit for that bar down. That was something else. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Providence made the playoffs. If they did, they snuck in last season through the CMS finals. So, you know, to see them step up and play Huff, again, a team that was respectable in their own rights. I'm pretty sure that Huff did make it. Now, these are new teams, but at the same time, you build a culture, and for Providence, they've really taken a step in the right direction. You know, we talk about it all the time, and it almost becomes cliche. But at the same time, when you talk about getting the last goals and really having that momentum at the end of the last game, well, this is just proven that is the case, that you can roll into it and really create a game that was something special. But definitely a one to forget here from Huff as time ticks down.
Right now, looking at last season's stats, Providence actually did not make playoffs, and Huff made number 6 and did not make the big bracket in the big land. So interesting how everything has developed over the summer, but we're going to see even more interesting developments as we go into our other match almost immediately, as we'll see if the come up from Edgecombe is going to be able to find its way forward against Northside the first minute, and that's honestly good looks for Edgecombe as they've surrendered nothing, and Northside is going to find this one cleared all the way to their back porch.
And this one bounces high, but yes, Edge in that similar situation to Providence, where they're just coming off a failed valiant effort to try and land a comeback in game 1. So similar results will further prove that points, or perhaps Northside can hold them off again, just like they did in that game number 1. And right now, they're struggling to get it out of their own end, as Sean looks to press forward, but really serves as a fake as he misses. And that one served out to the top of the box, but really served into the hands of Northside as they're able to finally transition. Although it's short-lived, this one pops back out to center. Left there and back out as they kind of tiptoe around each other. A bit timid to go directly at one another, and with good reason. Both offenses have been pretty stellar, keeping the defenses at bay.
Yeah, Edgecombe's A-team, though, has done a fantastic job of keeping Northside pinned back. Now, there's been a couple times that whiffs have been coming through, but otherwise it's about the midfield containment that's been paying dividends to Edgecombe. Another big takeaway. Spirals was responsible for a ton of great possession for Edgecombe in game number 1. That at least gave them opportunities to close the gap. I believe that was a 2-1 differential, but midway mark coming up here is zeros across the board. Spirals on the pre-jump, and they actually find that next connection, looking for the boost. They're going to try and dish it out to the box, but it's taken away early. Shot will be denied, but it's Edgecombe that's really knocking at the door.
Yeah, they've been the ones, and maybe this is it. No, good read from Encrypted. Look out. The other way shot taken and cleaned up defensively. This game has been an exciting one to watch, as both offenses, I was talking about them, their defense is on point as well as they continue to just battle back and forth down the pitch.
Oh, to the sidewall and more. An Encrypted Savage ends up getting demoed out, so that's going to be the man-up play for Edgecombe to try and power play it through. Spirals, again, an inadvertent tap will end up going at least for Northside, luckily, to their backboard, but the Edgecombe offensive continues to run route and ragged on these corners and fighting through the perimeter. Shot nearby, third man committing up, and it's been devil-may-care style defense for Northside just to get these 50s, and just as they find midfield, Edge again pushes them away. It's going to be bouncing nearby, but they find just enough at the post.
Yeah, now Encrypted left with a tough task because he's awkwardly in this corner, but he did a great job to just tip it down to himself, and now he advances forward. But the tap away again, good read defensively. When have I said that before, but multiple times throughout this game. Now popped high. This one gonna be well wide of the net. The follow-up though, far side, and Encrypted able to get across and make another save. But Spiral's not done. Extra touch, but ran out of boost on the far post. Nobody in support to come through until just now, and that'll allow Northside to clear.
Edgecombe fighting tooth and nail to finally get through this defense that Northside's been posting up. A pinch play, and now you have one man to beat in Mari. Encrypted Savage getting bumped going to the sky. It's going to go ceiling and down, but Encrypted Savage has been so sure-handed, and yet they don't have 3 arms. They need them. It's bouncing nearby. No one crashing the game for Edgecombe. They're keeping them contained within the box, forcing mistakes to develop out of Northside's defense. Now they send the second man, trying to secure it. They send everything in the kitchen sink, and they can't get through the posts.
Oh, that was an opportunity you wanted from Edge. Now time ticks down to 20 seconds left, dead even. It feels like the next goal gonna land it. It's Spiral that lands it, and Edge has put themselves in a great spot here in the lead with 17 seconds left to potentially try and get to a game 3.
I'm not at all surprised. Any other player, I might have been, but Spiral's being the one to finally get that dagger in the back of Northside after they had a constant defensive response to Edgecombe, but it was Edgecombe that were edging ever closer and closer to just finding at least that first goal of the game, and again, knocking at the door. Northside supplanted with their backs to the wall, and we will be looking at game number 3 in this second round between these two really solid squads, and a heck load of shots as 9 come up from the side of Edgecombe. You only had 1 from Northside, and it showed as they had 6 saves to have to respond.
This is why Rocket League is better than your traditional sport of your choice. Listen, you talk about defensive games all the time, and yeah, you can find some, you can find some pleasure out of watching a hockey game and it's 0-0. But when you're in Rocket League and they're constantly just showing up on the attack, on the defense, constantly moving through, and it's still 0-0, that same intensity is incredible. That was an awesome showing between these two teams. Let's go back into the other match. Remember, we headed to a game 3, Providence versus Huff, and we're seeing a lot of the same ever since that victory from Huff. They haven't scored at all in the last 2 games.
Man, starting to wonder where the Huskies went. Are they still locked up in the kennel after game number 1? It was a great response, but maybe Providence just kind of let one slide by. The good news when it comes to at least the perceived tiebreakers, when you look at group stage play, getting a game is so much better than getting 2-0'd. That is the mark of at least good success, but they still have some time. The defense, or rather the lack thereof because of a demo, starting to disappear and thin out. Huff running out of the clock to have to work against Providence, and Providence continues to work against them.
Debonair, look at that, just surgery precision as he was able to just pop it over the last member of defense. Didn't get a goal to show for it, but you're just killing more time. And this is a prime example of what I was talking about, Hell Monkey Man. Don't let off the gas. And you don't have to take shots, no. And you can kill the clock while you're doing it, but you just keep putting in the soft spots behind the defense. Another example again, failed sins will make it 4-0 for Providence.
Oh man, Failed Sins is just finding success wherever they go, forcing 2 defenders for Huff to commit to the corner. And really, that's kind of on the third man as the second was already committed up, but taking advantage of them when they are fully chasing down after you. And I feel for him. That's going to be a pinch straight rocketing through from the kickoff, and we are more or less cemented with Providence taking the series. It's crazy to see this outcome after how close it was in game 1.
Seriously, Huff were the first ones to strike early, and I know we talked about how it's teams figuring out their new trio and learning one another how your tendencies lie, but the way that Providence was able to put it together the way that they were in this short period of time in a best of 3 in the first round or second round, depending on where they are currently in the bracket, that's impressive to me. Like, that quickly of a turnaround in a series, you need it. You're desperate for it. Backs against the wall. You had to play match point against twice in a row, and you're able to succeed, not only succeed, but with flying colors.
Yeah, this has been a squad that you could tell that they were coached well, depending on if it's just from within their own kind of student population or within like an actual admin that's been helping them out. Because when you suffer that first game loss and it was a near well-fought comeback and able to then just be dominant and authoritative, you know that gameplay existed in the first place. It's just about being able to rectify it and find it coming up next. Providence, they take that series win. They get 2-1, and that's at least one game surrendered over to the Huskies, which they'll keep necessary. But I think this one, look at the ball touches. That means that total possession was just thriller killer against these Huskies, especially with those 10 shots.
No doubt. And the physicality, the 5 versus 2 in the demo department definitely helps, right? You're going to get multiple touches if you eliminate them from the field or put them, on backs against the wall. Just kick them when they're down. And that's what they did in both games 2 and 3. No way around it. But you love to see it nonetheless. That in Providence just put it together as quickly as they could. Huff, they fell off a little bit. So a little bit of the opposite side of the coin, where it's you weren't able to really piece something together, but you saw a team pop off, and hopefully that serves as inspiration so they can get some of those emotions we were talking about. But we're going to take a quick break here on the VESL channel, but don't go anywhere. The next round starts in just a little bit. Monkey Man and Bearlight back with you again. Northside back at it again as well. They're against Edge, and of course, like we mentioned, they're in this best-of-3 scenario headed to a Game 3, so we're going to see which team gets the better of the two here, as that one just sent to him. So Sean with the Schwinner early here with a 1-0 lead.
It's Sean, because that's exactly how they make you feel after you get dunked on, looking to just face against their own net, trying to stop all that extra momentum. But 17 seconds in, and I think you and I felt it, Northside, in that first game, they had that 2-up, but since that first game, it's really been Edgecombe that has been fighting upfield and really been forcing Northside to have to kind of retreat more often than they'd like. And I think that offense is really testing them more often than they are comfortable to do right now. Look how they're just kind of planted on this corner. Edgecombe already on the attack.
Yeah, and they're back on it just like they were before. The bumps are still here too, but they were able to fight through at least and get it past center field. Right now, jumping up in attack, but going to be beat to it now. Edge looking to return the favor here again. This one's going to go high above the net, tap down from Spiral, and that one hung there towards the right side of the box from the attacker's point of view, but will eventually be cleared out. That's a passing play, just touched out, but rolled to center, but that one's going to be handled by the defense, Jedikin of Edge.
Great touch by, I'm just going to call him Wah, because there's a lot. It's like, Wah-get, Wah! That's a whole-on Wobba Fett and Wario situation right there. Another day, another video game, but another 90 seconds here in the game number 3 as Edgecombe has really made Northside have to recover more often than they want to do. This one backing up, and it's Encrypted Savage that really I think has to be the one to take control of this Northside roster. They've been the most constant source of success, at least for some of these connections, and really has been the most responsible when it comes to defense to at least make Edgecombe not have a free path to the net.
No doubt, they've been really piecing together because as of late, in the past game or so, Edge has put on majority of the pressure. They've done a good job of really, finding those soft spots. But Northside has, come together here, trying to find some life. But Edge come right back to you. It's more in the corner. Waited a little bit weaker than he wanted to. That allows Spiral to step up in his spot. Top of the box is not going to be challenged there, and Mari able to get to it here. This one lingers. Who's going to jump on it first? Eventually, it's Frezzy, but now Encrypted tries to keep it there, and both teams in center. Chance Spiral. Great save from Mori.
This has been a defense, or rather an offense through attrition. They are forcing Northside to have to commit extra numbers up into the midfield and then just win on these 50s against them. Encrypted not able to have enough boost to really at least be competitive on that next touch. And then Waz let one through. Luckily for them, the third man, great defensive position. Look, it works so many ways. It's honestly the perfect name.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. Edge Coach tries to get boxed. It's Mari. Couldn't quite get to it. Shot taken. What a save again. The defense continues to just press here as Wall could get to it, but Sean will eventually break through. And Edgecombe has the edge 2-0.
Oh, man, a great turnaround as well, as that's just going to continue to force Northside into a difficult situation. And so with 109 seconds left, Edge, they've continued to keep Northside more than arms length, double arms length, triple the distance, to be honest. And Northside has their work cut out for them. Gotta find it at the captainship of Encrypted Savage, who lays it up in a high arc way, but Mari, they're caught out of position. They turn right back around, and that's actually a great look for them, but they're cut off again by Sean, who has been that double-edged razor alongside the likes of Spirals, and it's tough goings here for Northside. They're losing the numbers side, not just on the scoreboard, but in totality, and you send 4 cars up, the ball falls to the side.
And now you see the miscommunications here. They need to be in comms, letting each other know who's going to go for it, because that was just an awkward exchange there in the corner. This one, top of the box, just a floater, but it's going to get through. Wow! Able to get it 3-0, Edgecombe, as Northside continues to struggle.
Oh man, it's always these bouncers. You're never expecting it to be off pace, and then you have a defender that's in reverse and one from the near side post, and no one's able to jump at distance to try and go and find it. So unfortunate right now for Northside. They found that first game, but again, we have 2 game 3s to come into this matchup, and this Coastal Division group, seeing these two really kind of just rock the boat against each other. But I love the comeback story. I mean, best of 3, it's a reverse sweep there, but they surrender the first, and Edgecombe has looked stronger since that game 1.
They honestly have, and there's been no answers from Northside. I took, the game 1 performance there from Northside, and I thought they had it in them to really bounce back against Edgecombe. But, Northside and Mari, that lie detector test determined that was a lie. So here we are sitting at 3-0, and Edgecombe looking to just kill out some time. That's all they got to do. 20 seconds left and just a prayer left from Northside, but it's looking less and less likely as time ticks down.
Yeah, this one's going to be averaged 1 every 3 seconds, and then the math gets quicker and faster the more that we see it bounce around. So Northside and the gang started great, and Edgecombe ended greater as they were able to just take this offense, turn into a great defense, and never left Northside alone. That's going to drop to the pavement, and Edge is going to drop a second dub into their winners column as they will take this series 2-1. Edgecombe take the series.
They were just the stronger team in the last 2. They really pieced it together. Like we mentioned, the same thing from Providence. It was very similar the last couple of matches they were able to witness here, where one team dropped the first game, but were able to overcome their struggles and get it done, get the job done in an impressive fashion. That game 2 was very entertaining too. So this series had a little bit of everything. You had a bit of, bright side there from Northside in their game 1 performance, and although they fell off, and Edgecombe was able to show up themselves and take that game 2 by just a little bit, and the 3-0 will cap that one off. So, El Monkey Man, again, we continue to see these close games, close matchups. Now, though the 3-0 doesn't feel good for Northside, but they got plenty of time, like we mentioned, to piece it together again.
Yeah, and they're going to get to see even more of their, I guess, their brother-sister kind of competition, as we're going to have another coastal matchup of division play. I think this one's going to be coming up to West Craven and JP Knapp. And so I love seeing how we're getting not just the sample sizes of what we've had in the past from CMS, but also seeing all these teams be able to really kind of develop and showcase themselves. And you start looking over the edge of the wall, you're like, hey, how are you guys doing over there? Because you need to focus on your group, but you like seeing maybe you're not in the worst position based on what everyone else is doing too.
Oh yeah, you have to peek off of the papers. Don't do that. By the way, don't do that in high schoolers. Yeah, but do it whenever you're looking forward to your competition that's going to happen in season 2, because that'll literally give you the edge. You might as well practice now. Tune into the streams. It's going to be your best friend, because you'll see these teams, how they perform. What are some of their weaknesses? What can we do in our strengths to expose it and get wins where maybe they wouldn't be if you didn't? But like you mentioned, West Craven and JP Knapp, not to be confused with JNaps, is underway in this best of 3. It begins now.
The most Canadian North Carolinian team I've ever seen, of JP Knapp A. So we'll see how they will contend against these Craven students out of West Craven. So the first 30 seconds, it's been very divisive. And honestly, you and I, we just get the tiniest little example of, or tiniest little sample as well, of what these students and what these players are going to be able to bring to the table. And so far, so good, at least for some of the mechanics that JP Knapp has been flashing. But their defense gets a little bit too, I guess, excited. Oh, that one's going to roll in. They were trying to throw it to the corner, but JP Knapp surrendered the first goal.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You're just trying to clean up after a decent performance there to try to kick it to the corner. But yeah, we saw good mechanics too. That's the thing from our RSK, Risk, whatever he goes by. We will learn over time. But yeah, that's an unfortunate pill to swallow. But it is very early. Granted, a best of 3 series, all these teams want to start off fast. Not the exact start you want, but I'm sure they can get it back, especially with the talent they have. That touchdown, though, well read in the midfield by West Craven. This one will pop high. Father up for it. Shot taken, but that one again read by RSK. And just rolls down that little side portion. Down to a teammate where RSK tries to get to it, but it's Anthony right up to it as well as he tries to advance ground, but nothing doing, as nothing was given up realistically from JP Knapp.
I like that both these teams are really testing the overwatch of the box defensively and offensively, seeing what they can kind of get away with. And you don't have a ginormous amount of time to really do so, and yet still taking that competitive edge to at least see what they can do. Because we talk about feeler games when it comes to BO5s. There's really not a lot of that, especially in these kind of positions. Big save there coming out of Keelan. And that's going to be JP Knapp at least getting themselves upfield. And there's been a lot of loose ball play West Craven has allowed to roll to the back end of the pitch. And that back third really has not been navigated to perfection. And I think that's something that JP Knapp is trying to take advantage of. An example right here, and yet the inadvertent shift as that comes out the fender. The second man is right there, and yet they're unable to crash the gate.
Yeah, now it's going to be just an example of how West Craven can't do much with it. And Kellen right back at you again. And that's just what they needed to make up from that mistake. They've evened it up here at 1.
I took a bite out of my sandwich. Please keep talking.
Hey, listen, we're people too. We need to eat once in a while. So it is what it is. Equalizer there. And with 2:39 left, it is Bear Light now just dancing around as Hill Monkey Man finishes his bite.
It's still going.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm done. JP Knapp gets 2. It is the most difficult thing in the world to chew a chicken sandwich while laughing, okay? But Risk out here is showing us not difficult at all to navigate blue stripes and shoot on an empty net when West Craven clears it in front of them. So, job well done, JP Knapp. Looking a bit like what we saw from Edgecombe just a little bit ago, as they were able to just consistently find an offense that the defense wasn't ready to pick up the pace towards, and that's 3 in a row, Bear.
Yeah, Kellen's really taking a bite out of the defense here.
Oh, God.
Imagine him napping. All the puns come out at the same time. 3-1 now. Out of nowhere. It's 3 in a row here in the last little bit. And JP Knapp continues to impress as of late. And you had this feeling that after that own goal, that wasn't to the doing of Wes Craven, that JP Knapp didn't really want to make that the look. And so they bounced right back out using those mechanics that we got the sneak peek a little bit earlier to really get the job done. As they will play back to corner, though. Wes Craven, I mean, they might have surrendered the last 3, but at least they've been keeping it close. Everybody needs to contribute here, and it just hasn't been the case as JP Knapp has put those last 3 on.
Yeah, JP Knapp was really, they've scored every single goal, to include this 4th one, in the entirety of game number 1 here. Wes Craven may have been able to put the defense in maybe the tiniest compromising position, but Wes Craven, otherwise, it's been short-lived possessions that JP Knapp have been able to steal, take away, bully, and otherwise capitalize on with over 100, just a little over 100 seconds remaining. JP Knapp comfortably in the lead, and Wes Craven, there's time, but if they keep getting pushed all the way to their back quarter, just completely undeterred, it's going to be a tough one for them to come back into this game.
Yeah, time ticking down even lower here. In this game 1, we've seen, different outcomes of what's happened through the rest of the series, so I wouldn't really sweat it here for Wes Craven, except for the fact that you're dealing with this man. That's 4 goals now. He already had his hat trick, and he said, oh, I want more. I want more, and was able to get to it in the box here. The defense, just a little bit timid to challenge. I'd like to see a little bit quicker challenges here from Wes Craven as time goes on.
Have you never wanted 2 hats, Bear? Maybe a hat stack, if you will? Maybe 3 hats? I think that may be asking too much, but hey, well, okay, Keelan is trying to at least join them, maybe sharing some extra hats, as 6 goals have been attained. We are a minute 8 and just 1 short of Brazil. A very close venture this at one point was. It is no longer at that point. JP Knapp, though they initially were gauging what Wes Craven was bringing to the table, this game has gotten well out of hand. And I usually say game 1s are kind of that misnomer, maybe that lost variable, since, we see a lot of BO5s in Rocket League, but BO3, you don't have a chance for that to be the thing. This could be the full definition of your series, but game 2 inevitably will be coming, and Wes Craven is just going to have to play GG Go Next and see how they can respond to that.
Yeah, at this point, lost cause, JP Knapp clearing it out. They've done the damage. They've proven themselves in game number 1, but as you've seen, if you let off the gas, a lot of these teams will get it right back at you. But, I mean, there's a deadly combo here. We're learning so much about these teams, and one thing that we are going to note is JP Knapp equals JNaps, apparently. They've been excellent throughout. I mean, there's no other way around it.
Good old Canada and North Carolina. I'm sure they never knew that they were invaded. But you know what? JNaps is a very omnipotent but also very kind ruler, and I think that's what Wes Craven's just going to have to deal with for at least going into game number 2. JP Knapp doing the damage and taking him all the way down, looking for at least 1 more, but not a second hat to attain. And we'll go immediately into game number 1, and Kuritak. Wow, they are taking it to Roxborough right now, and this is the second Roxborough team that we've seen on the day.
A team coming in, not much luck so far early in this one. But you love to see the participation nonetheless from Roxborough as they try to figure things out here. Not exactly the results they want, but they do keep that one aside as that shot was taken, and a quick answer there defensively. This shot almost inevitable, but a great challenge there as Voltfire going to advance here and grab that boost. Right back at you though. Cream waiting for it. Just falls down in front. A bit of a mistake here again. Opportunity, door open, but they weren't able to capitalize from Kuritak. Another shot taken. A little bit wide. They need to get it out. Unfortunately, they're struggling, and that allows them to walk into the zone, but a final save there at the end. You can tell these teams are really working on their mechanics overall and trying to get their first win here in the night.
It's a difficult situation. Obviously, you have Roxborough kind of in a rough spot, looking to maybe find their first game win, and that's where much of the filtering process kind of happens here in group stage play, especially as you have all level and manner of different compositions coming into it. So the 70-second mark, this one at least dropping nearby, a great backflip save, and One Eye Jackpot is trying to hit all sevens or maybe even a fifth, as Kurtuk is just looking for one extra. And they're going to get it off of creating chaos in the box, and a dominant feature game one has become.
It's been an interesting one, to say the very least. To fall back down, Roxborough looking for their first goal here in this game. And you know, you have to find creative ways to do things. Your mechanics may not be there quite yet, but you can find different ways around it, and this is all a learning experience again at the end of the day. A lot of these teams are waiting for the right coaching to come in, step in, and really prove, you know, find what their strengths are, be able to play to them a little bit better. And right now, it hasn't quite been there, but we look forward to them and what kind of adjustments they can make over the course of this tournament, number one, but also over the course of the season, as it were.
Yeah, that's also one of the things that, as we get another one, but as you kind of look at your players and you try to do some VOD review, a game like this may feel like, all right, what do we actually kind of do to this? And this one becomes more about position and responsibility. You have players on kickoff position. They're the ones that got to go, regardless of right, left always goes or otherwise. And then what do you do whenever the defense is needing to either have at least one man challenging forward, or where the rest got to be from the back line onward? And I think that's where a lot of the focus comes from. You have those individual mechanics that can be developed, which is really what players need to be doing kind of on their own time or even with the team. But then a lot of it comes down to what the totality of the team needs to do, responsibility, position, and all that. I sound like a broken record, but I swear it works, I think, probably.
Maybe it does, you know, but either way, it's a tough pill to swallow here at this 8-0 mark, and only 30 seconds left to go. You want to find more on the board here for Roxborough. We've seen crazier things happen, is what I'm saying. Like, there's been very one-sided affairs where they've been able to work their way back, and I don't think it's insurmountable here. You know, the skill gap is evident, but I don't know if it's too insurmountable overall between these two teams, where Roxborough can at least get a couple on the board and start, you know, having a conversation. This might be a good start here, but Meg couldn't quite get that shot off. Unfortunately, went off the side of the car. That wasn't preferred. As time ticks down, it will be one to forget from Roxborough, but at least they can move on to the next one.
Yeah, and this is, you know, this also is another development level when it comes to what you do with what you had. You don't let it get to you if you can. But we're going to be going to game number 2. This one between JP Knapp and Wes Craven, in a completely different feature, at least right now. We're tied at 1. We've had more than 2 minutes of play, and you know Wes Craven is craving a game win.
No doubt. They have the opportunity multiple times. This time it's JP Knapp, though, that's going to silence them, as Kellen doing what we've seen in game number 1, continuing to be that force, that nuisance, a pure striker from this region, and one to watch out for if you're anywhere in the coastal region.
The catch, trap, and go by Kellen Blake was fantastic, and it's just a matter of where do the defenders go. They dropped back into that corner, and I think they were over-reading where that ball was traveling to, but the control off the top of Kellen's car was just immaculate, able to bring it straight into a threatening position, and now Kellen Blake at least dishing it out to center, and that's going to be up to Risk to turn that into a more defensive position. And all 3 players of JP Knapp rotating into a near side post, and they go to that corner and yet could not be punished. So Wes Craven has to find these opportunities when they present themselves, and it's JP Knapp who's been able to do that early and often. They're going to be running away, and they're going to be trying to, again, maintain ball possession.
RSK right back on it. They're just so timid to move forward, though, so Wes Craven an opportunity. This falls into the hands of Kellen, the last person you want to see with possession there if you're Wes Craven. They are able to at least get it out to center, but RSK is waiting for it. Back the other way, a little loose touch, and they are able to get over in 3-1. Now the count as JP Knapp continues to just put points on the board.
these turnaround efforts by JP Nap players is so damning against West Craven's defense, because they've committed everything for the upfield play. They're already thinking ball in air, ball moving downfield. Of course, we get ball. A big save there. I believe that was by Anthony, but they are immediately stuck again back onto their goal line. But at this point, JP Nap, they have found just constant times to be able to get these takeaways, and that's exactly right there. You have one on the backboard as Risk was already looking for a feed. Anthony behind one at least, as I believe that was Zed trying to get them into a clear, which has been at a high premium, very costly for JP Nap, or rather for West Craven to afford. And still, even when they find a loose ball, unable to contain it, and then 1 minute remaining, JP Nap still is in control.
To the corner it goes. RSK just killing time with this one. He's got Kellen on the back wall. Look at them trying to connect with that one. Would have been an interesting one, but RSK will accept defeat in that one instance, but they've still got this lead, and Kellen takes it off the hood of the defender's car and will be able to just march that one back down the field. So JP Nap now, the insurance goal that feels like all too much for West Craven at this point.
Kellen looks like he's taking lunch money from students out there. And it's just rude in a great way. Just as soon as the aerial carry began by West Craven, they just come through, take it off, and then just shove it into the back of the net. That is fantastic by JP Nap. And it may be just completely nap time. West Craven put to sleep by him, as it has just been play after challenge after success. Risk gets their own, a fifth, and probably a finality that West Craven cannot escape here in this game too.
Yeah, there was a lot of good signs here from West Craven. I love what they were able to, at least string together in a few instances here, but JP Nap was just too strong at this point. I mean, RSK and Kellen, we got a sneak peek early. We saw the rest of it follow suit as time went on. And Turtle Bro, wanted to get involved too, but Kellen and RSK really did a majority for them. So they were just able to take the match by storm here, but they still have work to do. And I think that's a very important thing to note as a team that's winning these one-sided affairs, is you have to continuously go through these matches. Just because you have advanced, you get a couple of wins on the board in matches, and you mentioned that that'll advance you forward. But that only gets you to round one, right? You can advance farther into round two if you win multiple matches, and I think this team is capable. And I like what RSK has been doing, what Kellen's been able to do. And they do get the win here as well, which is the most important point in their eyes at this point in time.
2-0s are very valuable, especially in group stage play. So good job over to them. And we go to an advancement here in the game at number 2 on the opposite side of our 7 o'clock featurette. Kurtuk continuing to run it up against Roxborough, who is looking for their first game win. And at this point in time, 2 minutes to go, a 4-0 stands in front of them. But we're seeing faster play. And that's honestly not just positionally, but mechanics. I want to see confidence when it comes to speed of the game. You have people that maybe take too much to heart about being into goalie in some of these positions as well, and you got to get them just want to play upfield, getting at least that ounce of confidence to maybe turn it into even more.
That's what you look for sure. And one step at a time, right? As cliche as it is, we've seen it happen, right? We've seen it develop. I mean, Providence behind for a majority of game one. In fact, all of it. I don't think they took a lead in game one. And then they were able to get the few goals on the board at the tail end of game one that led them into game two, that really got them firing on all cylinders. It'll take one little jolt of energy from the rest of the team, and eventually they'll get their rotations down. They'll get into a place where they're comfortable passing to one another and really working their mechanics second nature to them, so that way they can think about those rotations a little bit stronger versus everything going into your mind at once, right? It can be a lot to take in when you're relatively new at the game.
It really can. Like, you think of it as a traditional soccer, and then you realize it's not as kind of a hard assignment based. You have to be able to do pretty much everything, which for some players, some students, some people is very daunting of a task. And there's a lot to learn to it. And so Roxborough, there is still the hill to climb, and Kurtuk doing exactly what they were required to do and to go out and get a win. And we again have been talking about all night long about just making sure you advance through these groups, take each and every team with a grain of salt, see what they are in front of you, and getting the job done. And it's looking like Kurtuk did exactly that, and they're going to be moving on to the next round, probably looking to try and qualify thereafter.
Exactly the same sentiment that we just went over as well. You know, you beat Roxborough, but you want more, right? You want to keep on improving throughout, and this is going to be a constant talking point with us throughout this. Roxborough, here's a chance to shot. He wanted to see it so much, and I did too. But unfortunately, looking like they're going to tap it back out for another shutout, at least unfortunately, if you're a Roxborough fan. It is Kurtuk that we're showing up, but looking for more as they head to the next round.
Okay. Well, Kurtuk, they're going to be looking for other matches, other peeps, and honestly, off of just possession alone, that really kind of paints the picture right there. And there's a lot that Roxborough is going to be looking for in the future. And of course, this is their first, probably one of their first tastes of competition. So I love that everyone is taking at least maybe the shakiest and most nervous of first steps, but trying. And that's really all you can ask for when it comes out of these. So Kurtuk, they get their 2-0, and it looked like that we will maybe be taking a break as we'll come up to our 7:30 matches here, Bear.
That's correct. Yeah, and remember, we're already trying to fix a couple of the tech issues, including the shots and assist flip, but we do have more Rocket League action for you nonetheless. And this is just day one, by the way. Excited to be here again alongside Hill Monkey Man, and we'll be right back after this quick break. We are back here with you for VESL Season 2 as a regional qualifiers, and we have a matchup that we saw multiple times last season, and it is it's sure to be an incredible one. I mean, South Mech facing off with JT Williams. What do you expect?
Well, last season, both these teams ended up at the number 2 and number 3 position, respectively, between JT Williams and South Mech. The only difference that we really kind of see right now comes down to the rosters. So I don't know if it's going to be the same kind of situation if they're both still at that high octane mark. But JT Williams, they also had an amazing STEM program, and it looks like they're already taking hot shots against each other.
And JT Williams back at it. Yes, this was the roster that we saw from JT Williams last season, towards the tail end of the season, I believe.
Okay.
Because Nutella was there too. Grassy and AMM actually took Snore's place last season. So yeah, relatively new roster, but still one that has played together multiple times. As far as South Mech goes, I mean, it's the story that everybody's wondering. It's where's Skimmit?
Yeah, where in the world is Skimmit San Diego? And I think that everyone's going to be looking for that number 1 player. But I do wonder if they're even kind of still in contention. But JT Williams, they also had made it to the grand finals, ultimately falling against Olympic. So there's a lot of maybe hurt feels. They wish they'd be able to finish this off one early. Nutella was responsible for so much of the success of the squad in the first place. And you know they're trying to be able to promote their team from the front.
They have filled in the spot pretty well, right? They're equalized with JT Williams, or at least South Mech has done a great job of building themselves up. Caden, of course, you know, we saw sneak peeks of his defense and how strong it can be in moments that are huge. Stringing back-to-back saves in multiple matchups just like this, right? Against a JT Williams, against an Ardrey Kell, against an Olympic, right? This player is no stranger to having success. But Math Enjoyer is relatively new and gets on the board here and makes it 2-1 to regain that lead.
Math Enjoyer doing all the extra calculations on the angle and recognizing that the defender was not going to have enough time, velocity, or just overall physics to catch up to the clear across their net. So they punish them, put it forward, and make me test my puff meter as South Mech looking for a third, and Math Enjoyer gets another one.
Oh, if you're doing the math, that's a hat trick. As Nutella was beat to it off the kickoff there, and nobody was able to step up for JT Williams. Just launched one off the back wall, and Math Enjoyer with the demo to step front and center in the box to bury that one in, make it 3-1 now for South Mech. And really flexing their muscles against a team that really came to shine in the first couple of seasons, Season 0 and Season 1 of CMS League, which is now VESL. And it has been incredible to watch this team from North Carolina continue to just roll through. But Grassy with a quick answer, though. It was set up nicely from a teammate, and that's the team effort that we are used to seeing from JT Williams.
I mean, it was a very sumo wrestled 50 right there, as you had Nutella just having to slow it down, tee it up, and Grassy throwing a sniper shot from downtown. The defender who was in that corner not ready for the absolute melee and speed that was there. So JT Williams put in a hole here early in game number 1, as a couple of big shots as well as just physicality presented by Math Enjoyer from South Mech puts them there. But over the midway mark and more, JT Williams has at least been able to find that response. And you think you gotta assume some of this has to be devised by Grassy, who's there on the near side, but they don't get anything threatening until it hits the front face of that crossbar.
And Caden able to clear this one, just giving up possession, but you're willing to do that, to reorganize, get your rotations back to it once in a while. Obviously, you don't want to make it a habit. This one falls to the box. Dangerous spot. Shot taken. Far side and in. They were able to find it, as AMM will get them back even at 3. Just as quickly as South Mech ran out with this one, Hail Monkey Man, JT Williams, we know that they can answer quickly.
This is a team that's been to the very end of the bracket, and then even though they couldn't lift the trophy, they've been in these tough spots before. So they're not at all unfamiliar nor a stranger to the concept of needing to really pull up. But great save as well, as South Mech is being tested from the goal line onward. Math Enjoyer looking for a bit more of a connection, but ever since they found that third goal here for South Mech, it's been tough because JT Williams has been getting very physical and trying to play immediately man-on-man. These drop to the backboard, AMM with a dish, but that'll become a big clear, and South Mech needs that space.
Nutella chopped at it. Not much results from it, though. It's just left back. Grassy eventually able to get to it. He'll play in. Bit of a dump and chase. They're playing patiently back. You saw his AMM take maybe too much time. Shot the other way. South Mech looking to capitalize on it, but it was a quick response. And now you tell it back to it. He's got the corner. Respawning on the right side was Prince, but not much you can do with it. It's that one. Kareem's around the edges of the post, but nothing to show for it. Back up for it. Shot taken. Nutella from that top angle, and now JT Williams on top.
South Mech never given a moment to think, and JT Williams reestablishing their lead. What a nice bit of English put on the back end of that ball as Nutella put it to their wheels, softly handled it, and you saw the chaos because Prince the Kid was caught in their defensive respawn, trying to come out from that corner, and now, looking for the body block if they're able to find it, but JT Williams, great comeback. This was a 3-1 margin all of a few minutes ago, but that's been swiftly turned into goldfish memories as they're trying to fight for a 5th one.
A little chip, Grassy just trying to cut at it and maybe find an angle that the defense wasn't ready for. This one, Kareem's around the corner. Prince trying to get through. AMM right back to it. He's got Grassy. Quick drop off for him. Shot taken. Nathan Joyer gets the initial save. But you know, AMM's up there trying to find that angle. Nutella shot as well, but it's going to be defended nicely by South Mech. But they got to transition back down to 5 seconds. It's now back out. Now 1 second off the corner. Got to keep it up. Prince can't get to it. That close. But JT Williams on top for game 1.
Math and Joyer, oh my goodness. They were left on an island and they just couldn't be able to recover. And honestly, here's the big difference. 18 shots to 5. Wow. And yet it was still that close. Efficiency was fine, but pressure was premium. And JT Williams had plenty of cash to borrow. And it was just a narrow bit more when it came to total possession, but they really supplanted South Mech on their back end of the second half of that game. And that's what gave them the chance to really come back.
You give yourself the best chance by rotating out and allowing the next in rotation to come in and really try and keep that possession, because it can come right back at you really quickly. So I really do credit their play there to keep it close, but it feels bad nonetheless to have a hat trick in that one and then not be able to have a win for it, especially when the score ends up at that 4-3 mark. I mean, everybody was involved, and Math and Joyer just needs a little bit of extra help here, and it doesn't help when you don't have Skimmit around to make the big plays in those big moments. And JT Williams always been known to win those close games, though, for what it's worth.
Yeah, they've been able to really kind of take every team and just kind of dissect them. Just very STEM related, if you really can kind of look at their student population.
True.
So we go to game number 2, and obviously South Mech, they want to be able to respond. The defense, though, getting caught out, and Grassy is never the person you want bearing down against you. They're going to find that first dibs and that first score.
Caden was looking to just fake them out, and it worked initially because you got one to bite, but JT Williams plays so quickly in support that it didn't really do you many favors. They were able to just get a shot off really quickly, and in a spot where now your defense is kind of looking at the equation like, we didn't really plan it out this way, so maybe a lack of communication. Either way, JT Williams is able to take advantage of it, and they've really gotten the last 2 goals on the board and feeling pretty strong. Maybe even, I think it was the last 3 dating back, because they were down 3-1 at this point. So that's a lot of goals in the row regardless for JT Williams. And South Mech, they need one to really get this monkey off the back if it were for the last couple of minutes that have gone wrong.
Yeah, and every single clear that they've been able to find really has been contested by JT Williams, really keeping them fully contained. It kind of is reminiscent, honestly, of the Northside Edgecombe game that we saw a bit before. Every single moment that you get a square of grass, well, it is taken away from you. And Grassy, they actually had boost to spare. But the slam down, Math and Joyer from the backboard, the sole sentinel to keep South Mech straight. And now they're finally able to look for some extra space upfield. Math and Joyer, a redirect, no, a doink, yes, maybe at least a self-pass as this is going to arc down. They're looking for a bump, and Grassy just watched.
He said, I don't want to touch this, otherwise it's going to the back of the net, and I don't blame him. I mean, that was the right move to make to keep it alive and not there. So Nutella trying to fake too. Both of these teams high IQ plays right now, just trying to keep it at bay. I was mentioning how Skimmit needs to be the big playmaker for South Mech, or used to be. They're missing that presence. Math and Joyer is truly trying to be that presence right now. I think he's doing a decent job, and right now his team is trying to help too, as Caden was challenged there at the top of the box. Math Enjoyer grabs his corner boost, look to press forward. Nutella able to get that crafty touch around him. And now out of boost, will need some support from Grassy, but Caden's got the catch. Quick flick, but it was challenged at 50-50 to play it high. Off the corner, bouncer red, just enough from AMM. This one at the corner, Math passed it, serves as a fake, but Nutella's right back on it. More of a mishap than anything for South Mech here, and allow JT Williams to get the demo out in front and play some offense.
That was a decision made by JT Williams to go for the defender, and this actually presents a chance as they go for the double tap off the sidewall. The third man screams on by, and Math and Joy are just trying to keep this ball out of reach of Nutella, and yet the demo just feeds it over to Grassy. The counterplay hits just fine. JT Williams doubles up that lead.
And Nutella was just a pesky individual as Math and Joyer had to avoid them, and by the time they were able to recoup, Prince was off the map, got demoed off of it. So free space there. JT Williams knows how to use those demos bumps, physicality to bring a whole different equation into the heads of South Mech. You might enjoy Math, but Math and Joyer could not enjoy the fact that this game plan is just adjusted from JT Williams, and there's been virtually no answers. Try to get back 2-2. Another shot taken, bouncer. Math and Joyer was able to just get enough of it.
Math and Joyer looking for the X variable, but they're having to solve for the FX, and then not just the same. So with 100 seconds to go, they have not a lot of time to make further calculations. Nutella passively lets this one hit his wall. That was so smart, considering that they were able to bury it, turn it into a counter touch, and now everyone flinging themselves at it on the side of South Mech. Grassy and the gang getting in each other's way for JT Williams, but they have the leniency of maybe a third forthcoming goal. Nutella with the carry, but it's going to be two that find at least a defensive clear. And AMM, they step up a little bit too far. That's going to go to the back line and more. They could really secure this one with a third and maybe the entire series. This was JT Williams who was down, but they're trying to knock South Mech out.
And now everybody's committed for JT Williams up in the corner. When are they going to transition? They finally do. South Mech looking to bounce forward. It's Math and Joyer eyeballing one, able to flick pass. Now a bump chance here. AMM in support. Big save. We'll hold that down. Caden to float it to the box, but nobody's pressed forward. And in this situation with 40 seconds left, you have to play a little bit more aggressive than what we've seen.
This is your previous season runner-up, trying to continue to be the top of the stack. South Mech, one of their great rivals, looking to come right back at them. There is no follow-up, and that is unfortunate because it was looking very promising from the back line forward. You need to score now if you're South Mech. A feed to Math Enjoyer all the way upfield. It's off target, looking to try and get it to the backboard. Caden, slam down, no. A soft touch, no connection, and that's pretty much it. JT Williams survived the storm, and it is now the norm that they are just putting themselves right in good form. South Mech will surrender 2 games, and a third will go in! Exclamation point on the series.
There's no way this game goes 3-0, unfortunately, for South Mech. That was the case, but it didn't feel that way at all. I mean, South Mech, they're going to look back at this game, and there's going to be a lot to learn from. There's so many tiny mistakes that if they'd gone one way or another, just a few inches, a matter of pixels, and it would have been a little bit differently. A couple of decisions that they probably want back, I imagine. But JT Williams also showed that they're a little bit vulnerable, but they do get away with the match win, and they have time to figure it out as time goes on. So both teams are really in a solid spot here, and it's exactly what we expected. These were two powerhouses from CMS League last season. To see them come in and put it together, not only a show of a series, but also be able to have some highlights and perhaps be one of the 2 of the favorites here when we move closer to the end of this tournament is no surprise to me. Is it to you?
No, not at all. And honestly, having the 14 shots with 7 demos, that really showcases 2 sides of the ball for JT Williams, as they're able to not just inflict pressure, but also inflict damage onto players. You get 9 saves. You really exist on the entirety or the majority of that game on the defensive half if you are the side of South Mech. And so we got to see if they really can bounce back from it. But, you know, you know as well as I do that both these teams, they saw each other late into the semifinals of the bracket stage for this. So the fact that CMS is having to already dwindle their numbers down to just those that are a little bit more prepared here in group stage play, and then they're going to be finding all of these other regional divisions coming at them. It's both a camaraderie, a brotherhood, as well as a rivalry that they have to fight tooth and nail through. And it's great to already see this kind of matchup early in the season.
And these moments are going to happen now with VESL, within the regions themselves, but then also at states. And it just develops. And it's so cool what we've been able to build here extensively. So, I mean, overall, it was one of those things where JT Williams has found a way to find the new third in AMM and get him involved in this process of what they've been trying to build. And he's been fitting in to a T. And there's just a few little mishaps that we've seen. They look vulnerable, like I mentioned, but they are piecing it together a little bit more so than what I imagined. Snore was never it never seemed to be too big of an issue to change him out. But now that you have and are forced to use AMM and pull him in, I think it's been success for JT Williams since that roster change happened.
Yeah, and on today, honestly, JT Williams, you always wonder, all right, does a team keep that kind of momentum from season to season? And I think they very much have. I mean, you say kind of forced to really run into it. I think that hand over fist, AMM looks very comfortable around this. Obviously, Nutella and Grassy seem to be your mainstays, and I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of them up in those upper stat and MVP columns. So, Bear, we've seen a lot of talent so far. There's still a ton of matches to go, but we're going to have a slightly longer break before we get to our next ones.
That's right. We're going to take a few minutes to get everything organized and back into action, back into premium VESL form. So take a second and take a break, grab some snacks, be back with you in just a little bit. Regional qualifiers continue here as we're back with you on VESL. I think we had a pause in my viewing point, so I got confused for a second. But Monkey Man and Bearlight with you as always. Again, we go back to it, and we've seen a few of these teams perform already, and Curatic was one of those. And they won their series pretty handedly. But now it's time to go on and face off with Hayflock in a completely different monster, because you have to play each individual team differently to some degree. Obviously, you want to have that identity, but you have to be wary as far as what you're up against.
Yeah, and at this point, I remember both Havelock as well as Kiratuk both winning their own respective matches. So this is pretty much a qualification match to make it into bracket stage play over on Thursday. And Havelock, I mean, Chiladas and Chicken and Gengi, they were looking fantastic. Now, again, I would argue that was against a lesser opponent. Kiratuk, I want to see if they wouldn't be able to bring the same kind of output they did before. And you and I talked a bit about it. It's about being prepared and from isolated events. Previous opponents are not current opponents, and I think this one's gonna be a big measuring stick for both teams.
Yeah, goldfish mentality is something that we talk about all the time when it comes to mistakes that just happen and putting it out of your memory. But sometimes you got to put wins out of your memory, especially in the sense of like you don't know what you're up against. And that's where we go back to the conversation that we had earlier, which is, you want to be watching all these teams in action, perform all their matches, right? If you do that, you'll have at least a sneak peek into what you're up against. And for both of these teams, they've been allotted the chance to do that. We'll see if we can, have different results here. Obviously, one of these teams walks away with the victory. And I guess my question to both of us, which we don't know a true answer to, given it's very relative, but which team walks away with it?
I think it's gonna be Havelock. I really do believe that they had the what hell. Let me to go get a let me get a lottery ticket. I'm good to go. We saw some high flying offensive. They ruled the skies, and straight from the rip, 36 seconds in, Havelock already trying to prove me right.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we'll look to build off of that. Kickoff here, Florida Curatuk is back towards their zone, but it was missed. And Havelock allowed the opportunity to jump on it too, but who will go? Good comms to at least call off one. Gengi back down. Perfect pass too, off the bottom side of the card to put off Velocity. Eventually it'll pinball around and go in. That shot was originally missed, but so much chaos. Havelock on top.
This is Havelock's bread and butter so far here in group stage, and it's obviously we've seen what can happen whenever you put defenses in rough situations, and you take advantage where you can. And Curatuk has not been able to at least find their footing here in the first minute of play. So we're still in best of 3 land, and mathematically, I gave you guys results when it comes to if one of these teams does win the series they're in, because they'll have at least 2 series wins, and that guarantees them top 3 in their individual groups. So the Havelock wants to make big statements early, and so far in the first minute and more, they've been able to do that with a couple scores.
Now it's up to Curatuk to really, calm down a little bit. Take deep breaths. You've got this, right? You've got the victory in the last one, and you have the opportunity to, I'd say shock Havelock, who's been mega confident. Look as they go back to the sky. There's a couple of flip resets there from Chicken as well, but this will fall back into the hands of Gengi, who we'll just leave it here. Grabs 100 boost on the way out, and that boost control, those are little things, but at the end of the day, they do add up. If you're doing all the small things right in these closer matchups, you're going to have better results. Right now, Gengi's going to look to make them pay, but the flick well high, flicks it to the moon, and the defensive Curatuk should be able to clear. They do, shot taken, but Gengi's easily got it.
That was a lot of small ball play that turns into at least an extra chance. Oh, off on the timing. Third man comes up for the chip shot of Salty One, but unfortunately for Curatuk, it is a short-lived venture, and Havelock go right back to business, trying for a soft back pass, and Gengi comes upfield, pre-flip into the corner, and now looking for a Doomsday, or at least for a bump, but just leaving it up for a Chicken. And hey, if you had questions as to whether chickens can fly, I think they just proved they can.
Gengi, they set him up too. I mean, that is just an easy pass. You see that pass happen and develop it in some of the lower ranks too, like Platinum and Diamond, but at the same time, if you eliminate the defense, if you get them second guessing themselves, it makes it a lot easier for you. Sometimes you don't have to work necessarily as hard as this, oh my goodness, what a shot. Chilota says, I'm loading up and ready to let it launch. What a goal.
Wow. Okay. I'm pretty sure we saw this in the previous series from Chiladas, and that was our first introduction into them. And they are not one to be left to be outdone by their teammates. So a great look so far by Havelock, as game ones have been very telling about the speed and coordination of a lot of these squads going into these series, and everyone will clear deck as they make initial challenges. But Kirituk finally at least gets a single touch out here, trying to force a challenge against Gangi. But it's about how far Kirituk really tucks themselves back on their own defensive line that really is giving a ton of space over to Havelock, and then they just kind of leave open grass to be won by them too.
And Gangi was just comfortable staying there in the play in a spot where maybe you don't typically want to be, but when you see Kirituk struggling in a couple of misses too, they're just not able to do much. They are able to get on the board though here, as eventually they break one through what seemed like a harmless shot. A little trip up the Havelock defense, and they're on the board.
Gangi looking for that ball to take, a foot or whatever unit of measure, at least up above the grass, but it's stuck to the ground, especially as Premex came over and able to just make that one look easy. So at least putting one up there, and that's more than some other teams have been able to save whenever they've gone against this A squad from Havelock High School. Now control over to Chiladas. Great pre-jump as well, as they're trying to flip it over to Gangi, and One Eye Jackpot at least looking for extra floor space, but it's the takeaway game by Havelock, playing monkey in the middle with them. Gangi can't get the double, but they're still going to keep it in a threatening position.
And back to it, trying to get to a Chiladas. Not sure if he was bumped off or just missed, but either way, it just falls down. And will be back in position. Havelock, Gangi trying that very difficult angle, almost had it. Now Chiladas to try and challenge. It was a little late. Now Kirituk trying to jump on it. One Eye Jackpot, B2 at pure speed from Havelock as they put the full jets on. They will play into the offensive zone. Gangi now the turn off the corner, pushes inwards. And just killing more time at this point. 47 seconds left. Another shot potentially. Nothing doing. Double commit now. A chance on the other side, but they are not able to do anything with it.
Whenever you have those brief moments of weakness, you really have to pounce upon them, because that's not going to develop often and early for this Havelock team. Less than a half minutes ago, and damage has been accumulated, done, and will be calculated as to how high your insurance premium will be. A triple commit out of Havelock, and it bounces ever so closely and dangerously to the Kirituk goal line, but they have no more left to prove here, at least in the first game. Game one will go over to Havelock. And Kirituk are going to have extra chances to try and rebound. Chicken will find another one just for good measure.
Why not add more to the board and just combine and get more comfortable with one another too? We don't know the history of these teams. It's very possible that you can tell all three of them are clearly talented, right? And that this Havelock team has got it on lock, and they will eventually walk away with this game number one. But you have to consider, maybe these players have played together. They do go to the same high school after all. They pretty much talk, you would imagine, about video games if you have an appreciation for that kind of thing. But they did get the win in nonetheless. So now we've got Charlotte Engineering this time on top of this series. We like what they were able to piece together earlier in this broadcast. So to see them go up against Rocky River and have a little bit of success but drop the match, and now they're back at it hard against Harding.
Yeah, this was a Seek team that ended up getting 0-2'd by Rocky River, and that they want to recover as best as they can, but it looks like Harding is in a rough position all their own. And when you kind of really look at what they were able to do kind of last season, it's great that Seek is finding some level of success here earlier than later. So great 3-0, and that's in the first minute of play, as it's really just been kind of a fist fight, and they're going to be able to build with another one as everyone commits into the middle of the pitch.
iLose able to get on the board too. iLose had a bit of their struggles throughout the season last year, but you can tell they've been putting in the work on the offseason to make things like that happen against Harding, who also had their struggles too. But, either way, Charlotte Engineering get it on the board. iLose, part of the reason why. Big goal early, and off the kickoff, Charlotte Engineering looking to move in. Looks like Harding only 2 on the pitch currently, so that might be a telltale sign of what's going on in this series as a whole.
Harding, obviously, last season unkind to them, but it's great that they've been able to keep kind of making these strides forward. Bit of a team bump, and it's going to get a bit more out of hand as Seek will take advantage of it. And that's something that, again, you look at how this kind of matchup goes, and right now it's a 2v3. Obviously, you're playing in a constant anti-power play. So Seek is just running it up while they can. We maybe look at what's going to happen for that next rotating player to come back through. Hopefully this won't be forever. Hopefully they're going to be able to come back to it. But otherwise, Seek knows that they just have to keep everything in front of them.
Right now, that's what they're looking to do. Fly on Candy able to push it forward at least a little bit. 5-star able to stop them dead in their tracks, though. And he'll hand it off to a teammate. Mock Dinosaur just going to send it across and tap it in easily. No, the shot a little bit wide. But you like to see the solo effort attempts here from Charlotte Engineering. Now they're just going to tap it, grab it, flick, and that one is in. I was worried for a second. Looked like it might hit the crossbar, but 5-star is able to land that one. Osiris with a goal.
You always want to cheese your teammate if they try to flick that close to the goal and if it just hits the crossbar. That's what I like to do. So, well, it's a tough uphill. I mean, you think of group stages, and we just got word that, in fact, the third for Harding is, in fact, a no-show. So good on them for having the competitive spirit to at least kind of play into many of these matches, even at a deficit that they are. It's an unfortunate sight, to say the least, but I do like that they're just kind of keeping their third all the way back. So this has really just become kind of a 2v2 effort. And, there's at least that competitive respect that comes with, knowing that situation. And I like that we're getting that out of Seek.
Exactly. It's not going to do you any favors if you're just, constantly smashing up like, 12, 15, 0 scores. You really want to try and find passing, try to find creative, unique ways. And I like what you said about Harding too, and their ability to really compete even as a 2-stack. I mean, in a 2v3 scenario, I've seen plenty of times where you do end up getting a win or two in those situations. It's very rare, but at the same time, you never know unless you put yourself on the pitch in the first place and prove to your coach and your school in the first place that you're willing to show up, that you're willing to go the extra mile and put on that extra weight on your shoulders to at least attempt this.
I don't know about you, Bear. I always win my 2v3s. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, everyone. They're like, oh, that's Monkey Man. I'm going to force him into a 2v3, and they quit out. I ain't going to deal with that boomer for 5 Rocket League minutes. How does the world expect me to deal with that? So it's always 2v3 out here in Monkey Man land. But 80 seconds to go. Seek looking at completing at least game number 1. And when it comes into 2v2, which this one will rock its way in, 2v2 is actually kind of a fun dynamic, exploring how you can go between having a much longer field, more boost to work with, and really kind of forces you to have to think on the full macro of positioning.
Yeah, that's the big, picture look at it, and that's really the way to approach. And you have to ask yourself at the same time, where are your priorities as far as showing up? You have to hold your teammates accountable as well. So I do respect them being here. And, you can't control at the end of the day other people. But what you can do is try to create a culture of at least, being able to show up and hit your matches. I'm not going to linger on it too much because obviously, all I want to say is attendance is important at the end of the day. Whether it be Rocket League, whether it be in class, there's a reason why you get docked points for being absent or missing homework or whatever it might be when you are there, because you're just missing opportunities to really improve yourself, and it's a shame to some degree. But with Charlotte Engineering, you don't want to mess around either too much. You're trying to find these passes, you're trying to find new creative ways, and that was a passing play for what it's worth. An 8-0 mark here with 38 seconds left, and Charlotte Engineering will definitely clean up this series.
And if you think about it too, I mean, Charlotte Engineering got to be seeing this as a boon. They get this win, they recognize that Harding's in a rough position, and that actually may secure them a Thursday berth to be able to make it to the bracket. So, this is something for them to build upon and maybe think of for the remainder of the week and get the job done. And just like I said, look, I went to college, but part of me didn't go to college, and I think that was the brain part. I may not have gone to classes, and I really regret it. But if you simply show up and you put in the effort, then you're able to, to get things kind of running the right way and people recognize it. And who knows, maybe different circumstances that happen. But Harding, they fought hard. They're going to be looking at another game that they have to complete against it. Seek and the gang, you got to know that they feel good, at least about getting a dub, knowing that this is a tough grouping in the first place. But they're able to find 10. And honestly, proud of them being able to just do good work.
The double digits. You got to respect it. 5 doubled up, you know what I'm saying? 5-star Osiris with a 10-star right here. And they'll move on with a head of steam and hopefully a little bit of head of confidence in really. It's tough to really bring a extreme positive emotion to a 3v2 blowout, but at the same time, you find a win, you get to advance, and you're at least in your head saying, yes, step one in the right direction to move on. And they played other teams close too, so it's not like it's just a freebie into the next round, in my opinion. We got to see them against a Rocky River team that we were raving about, Rocky River Ravens. So big win nonetheless, because it does get you to advance. And stats at this point, basically just a formality, as this one was quite one-sided.
Yeah, and if no one's catching these awesome references that Bear's putting down, he did a Mari lie detector reference earlier that I don't think any of you caught. So if you're not keeping track, there's a lot of them. There was a player earlier named, I think it was Father Voiced, and I'm pretty sure that it's got either mine or Bear's voice just with that student. So I can't look. We're also working on moving on to our next matchup, which I believe is game number 2 of, was it? Havelock and Kurituk. So gonna see if they can come up to it. Havelock obviously looked very dominant into their feature, and many of these groups are gonna immediately get rid of the chaff. And I gotta know from your opinion. I love tournaments. I love groups. I love brackets. I also very much love league seasons. This is kind of an unforgiving format because whatever group you get is the group you got, and you got to be at least not the worst of them to advance. But how do you take this as a program, considering you go from league play where you get to have a lot of like progression and evolution over the course of several weeks to just maybe a single night, and hey, good luck or bad luck, you're either done or get to move on?
I mean, I see it as a test, right? It's a great question. I see it as a test of strength in mentality here, because it's very much one and done. You have your different formats for VESL, and now that you have these different looks, you can see how you play in different circumstances. A lot of players last season for CMS League / VESL in its infancy there, they never had the experience of going to a single elimination or double elimination formats, and so the single elim or group stage or all the varieties that you get here. In this case, best of 3 in groups where your group could be the group of death. Like, that's very much a possibility. But you get to see these multiple looks, and you get a variety of looks overall. And right now, you got 5-star Osiris at the good luck there, a 1-0 lead for Seek over Harding as they continue to, unfortunately for Harding, take advantage of this 2v3 situation.
Yeah, and they're gonna make sure they secure at least a few goals before maybe it goes fully 2v2 for some of this rotate. But you actually do have them just into a 2v1 last second chance, but no, 5-star Osiris keeping all their stars up high. And so Seek, we're gonna be seeing a lot of these guys. I think that we've hit pretty much every talking point that is possible when it comes down to the fact that this is a 2v3, and then you have so much when it comes to programs. But one thing I'm looking forward to, Bear, is when we hit STEM into the next semester, because Seek was actually in one of those big kind of front runner positions when it came to their app development. And I can't wait to see how that evolves, as well as 5-stars already grabbed their hat trick.
Quickest hat trick of all time there, 53 seconds. I mean, in these moments, you get to take advantage of that in recorded history for VESL. It's got to be, right? Maybe not. Who knows? But either way, I mean, it's just strength in numbers, I suppose, to put it frankly. And right now, Harding, I mean, you come in, you know that the cards are stacked here, and you continuously play anyway. And it's not like they give up when they get to that 10-0, 11-0 mark. They continuously play through and find individual strengths, because at the end of the day, a lot of these situations here for this match specifically are going to be 1v1 situations. So maybe you look at it that way versus this game being an actual, match to win at this point. Really, you're just drawing up, how can I play this when XYZ is in the corner, right? Or if they're taking it off the ceiling, how do I play this, right? There's little moments within the game as well that you're trying to win. Those little battles, if you will, maybe in a corner, right? So there's so many little things that you're trying to really accomplish and improve yourself. I see it more that way if I'm Harding.
Right now, ooh, some individual play and effort as Seek continues to corral Harding, and it's been about just how you can make sure to secure your future, and Seek has done exactly that. Putting up 4 here is a 2v3. Harding, I'm a big fan of him. I love the heart of Harding, but this one is going to take more than heart for them to advance on. But we're going to actually switch gears, switch around, switch the matchups as we have Havelock and Kuritok. And hey, great timing, producer. Havelock scores 1 at the 72nd mark.
That's the second time that they've done that. Right on cue. They're just waiting on you. And Chicken able to bury that one. 1-0 Havelock here, not only in the game, but also in the series. We saw the, Havelock run. It was very, I wouldn't say very one-sided, but very convincing win. An exclamation point they put on it last time, and Kuritok needs to jump out and really adjust to it. Now, that's not going to help that one player looks to be AFK here. We'll get you the details, but Salty One right now is going to be more salty, realizing he can't do anything right now.
Oh, and then that's going to release a double touch. I'm not sure if Salty was able to come back. That was a disconnect of the controller, or maybe just Alt F4ing a little bit too hard. Otherwise, Havelock, they find a 2-0. We can't go from a 2v3 to a 2v3, Bear. I need Salty to wake up, please and thank you.
Let's see if it happens now. Maybe kick off. Oh, no, he needs to be. Oh, he's back. Shot taken. Oh, no, not in time. And it looks like not enough salt on the chicken shot there in order to make a save. As you can tell just by the vibes there that he was like trying to grab his controller and get back in the gameplay as quickly as he could.
He went to go complete that last question on his online quiz. No, this is high school. I don't know. He's got a project due for Tuesday and just wanted some extra chicken nuggies. So either way, 3 on the board for Havelock. And they are in a full 3v3 right back at it. So as chaotic as it has been for Kuritok, Havelock, my God, what in the world? Oh, it was nearly clip worthy, and they were just inches away.
Oh, the chicken enchilada almost got it again. Now it'll be Chicken swinging around this one. Chicken enchilada there to hook up, but only to clear as far as center. And now it's a bouncer. They need to get back up to it, and Chicken's boost control is unreal. I feel like he just used his entire tank, and he's still got 15 in the tank to try and get back to it. They touch out to the corner. It's Gangi trying to settle things for his 2 strikers. He's really settled into that 3rd-man role after all, and now they got space to work with, but a bigger save on the other end by One Eye.
Feels like Chicken really is like a hard striker, and Chiladas is just the glue between Chicken and Gangi to really link up together when it comes to these next level shots. Chicken, oh my goodness, on the adjustment, they jump off near side post after the initial dunk downfield, and then on the adjustment, just finding it again, denying Chiladas the secure because they want that 4th goal.
They're hungry. And Havelock's got the 4-0 lead. Kuritok with that series win last time off the kickoff, had the opportunity. Is it a fake? It is. Chicken's already up for this one. We'll tag it off the back wall. Everybody had committed for Kuritok for the shot. We'll just scoop off the front end of the car of Havelock. Now trying to answer that opportunity. Quick little flick. I say quick. It actually didn't have much velocity on it as it flew out to the side. And now Chiladas is on it. Fake the musty, gets back up, pass across, but Gangi got a little bit anxious there and jumped too far forward, and he'll have to backtrack here. But any time that they're up for an opportunity to begin with, they're just ticking time off the clock.
Oh, they really are just stealing seconds away from Kuritok to try and develop much, but in the later term here of game number 2, it's looking like more of the same. It was a dominant feature, maybe not in the same realm of scoring of what we saw with Harding and Seek, but definitely it's been a high level mechanics. Gangu with the takeaway, and the defense of Kuritok has struggled, to say the least, to get the best foot forward, upfield, salty one, and a 1v2, both defenders looking at their own net, and that's actually a fantastic carry. Sadly, it goes a bit wide. They call up the second man in Primi, but that's going to be one jackpot that's kind of stuck on that back wall and really doesn't know what to do as everyone in corrals in. One extra touch, it's just going to flow down. Chicken slams it home, and Havelux has secured a fifth.
Havelock is going to be so fun to watch when it comes to regular season time. I am so excited for this team. They're outstanding. There's no way that they don't make states the way that they're playing right now, because Kuratuk is not a bad team. Like I'm telling you, we've seen them earlier. No, they're not quite that level, and we can tell that now. But, I mean, they have... It's not like they're up against a team that's any snoozer. Like, Kuratuk, I'm equally as excited to see how far they can progress. But right now, Havelock is on a whole different level. And I've seen Chicken before. I mean, you know, I'm summoning this now where Chicken is one of those top teams that I've seen in the high school realm. I just didn't know he was from North Carolina. And so, you know, you have a player like that, you're already awesome. You have a duo to go along with it like Chiladas, and you have that steady third man Gangi. I mean, this team could be unbeatable come state time. That shot finds the left side.
I'm not muted anymore, I promise.
Welcome back, Hill Monkey Man.
Thank you so much. I made a big point before that we had the top four last season around with Ardrikel, Olympic, JT Williams, and South Mech, and you're talking about how this squad in Havelock definitely is at least a front runner. I would have to agree. The mechanics are there, the speed is there, the execution is just as smooth, and honestly, I can't wait to be able to be talking about them more, especially because of plays just like this.
That's insane to me. Gangi put it on his hood. And that wasn't even Chicken. He wasn't even involved. This team is absolutely outstanding. I am so stoked, and glad to hear that you're not just dead silent, that you're not excited that Havelock is going to be performing as well. I thought you were basically telling me, no, I'm not excited for this at all. But
no, I'm just in shock. There's nothing more to be said. They're so good. Anything that I put on top of it is just extra, because this team, wow, putting the numbers up in a big, big way. And Kuratuk, they're going to be chasing after maybe another win for their group stages, but Havelock has secured themselves bracket berth coming up Thursday because they've had 2 wins today. They'll still play out the rest of group stages, but that is the mathematical requirement, really, to be able to make yourself get to that stage. So I can't wait to see how they kind of seed it out. They'll probably end up being top seeds simply by performance of what we've seen them coming out, I think, of the Coastal Division, but so far, so good. And, you know, Kuratuk, they need to just be able to find one more.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here. I'm probably going to grab some Gangi chicken enchiladas, and then we're going to have a feast with the last matches of the night here. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the VESL channel. We'll be right back. Well, day one is going to wrap up here after these set of matches. We got Providence facing off with Butler here. Try to give us a show, and we just missed it. 2 seconds in, Debonair's already got Providence on the board.
This is the team that you got to be afraid of because of that player right there. Debonair is a complementary piece to Failed Sin's entire success plan, which is just to make use of nonstop space. Challenging after a great handoff. It goes to the sidewall, and Providence already putting Butler on their heels. And this is a program in Butler, the Bulldogs, that really wants to try and find a big win in group stage play, especially after the ending of what happened in their previous season that didn't go the way they wanted.
Yeah, 2-5 on the season last season, season 1, and really trying to build on it. But that team was very young, 2 freshmen and a junior to that one. But definitely a different team coming in. And, you know, Mud Kippo we haven't seen at all. I don't think Hinge Minor either. No, we saw a little bit of Hinge Minor, I believe, and Cammy came on a little bit later. But they were looking for success. They didn't find much of it, but they got a couple wins early, right? Losing 5 in a row, it stinks, right? But like at the end of the day, it's not something that's very common. It's something you can brush off the shoulders and say, we won early. Now we just have to be a little bit more consistent and not break down when things get tough.
And it's exactly the way that Kami just kind of took it on right there. Yeah, you have the flash, you have the flip reset,
Whoa!
And you have a big fat win on that strike. Kami showing Providence that they're here to play.
Yeah, that one was excellent. Look at it, glued to his car essentially, and actually dropped it back from it a little bit in order to set up the flip reset, get his car down and angled to the point where he could get it off, and then send it top shelf, top cheese above the defense to make it 2-1. Pulled themselves back within 1. Impressive goal there. And now Mailbox trying to answer, though, in a quick one, as Providence right back up on top by 2.
That was express mail. That was same day, not next day. That one immediately with the flag up. My goodness, yeah. And hey, no signature needed because they already endorsed it for you. So Providence strike back, showcasing individual efforts are existing on both sides of the pitch.
Man, oh man, quick strikes. And it hasn't been Debonair, who, yes, has been a leader, has been on this Providence team since the get-go. But it's been the other 2 that have been making big plays as well, and I'm now just equally as excited to see Providence back on the pitch too. There's so many teams coming in here that were like, how are they going to fare after a tough season or after a season that didn't go quite as strongly as they wanted it to? And the bounce back efforts already begin in day 1 of the pre-show, aka the tournament, to deal them all. Mailbox back to you. It's 4-1 now as Providence. Well, Cammy was doing their best to try to keep Butler in it, but Providence had different ideas.
Oh, yeah. This is one good play does not make an entire team. And honestly, when we know of what we saw of Providence before, they have a full balanced spread that is often very difficult to find your way through. And so got to see where Butler can really find some of that galvanization between each of their players together. Kami already up in the sky, and it's early challenges that will be able to at least suppress the likes of this output from Providence. Looking for a redirect as that floated nearby, and not able to get it from Kami. Midway mark approaching here of game number 1. Providence has already been able to find 4. They're looking for more, and they're knocking at the door. That one's just stuck in the stripes. No one wanted to touch it.
No, everybody's allergic to it, it looked like, apparently. So Providence is going to be apparently stuck at 4 goals, maybe? We'll see. Debonair, he says maybe not. Oh, they do combine. Left it for Failed Sins. I was like, Debonair, what are you waiting for? He was waiting for his teammate to come through and get a technical pinch. Let's see what happened. Nah, just kind of careened off it, but they take it nonetheless. It'll be 5-1.
Yeah, the softest little bit of finesse. They kind of dish it up enough. Just slow it down on the undercarriage of that Dominus. And then a strike. Oh, Debonair able to pick up yet another goal from that demo kickoff score. We've seen at least 3 of those today. I swear that connections on players have been just happening so swiftly, and this was competitive until it wasn't, Bear.
It really was. I mean, you think about Cammy's impressive highlight reel goal that pulled them back within 1, and now whole different setup. And still 2 minutes left to play, and you look towards Cammy to really get things going. I mean, there hasn't been much of anything else, and so You need to win those little battles. I mean, you have to have the support to some degree, but then you expect Cammy to maybe take over from there. But you can't expect him to do it all, and I think that's an issue that's been haunting Butler, at least for this game number 1.
It's a difficult thing to do because you have to build from your best player and then you kind of anchor around them, but you also have to turn them into a leader, and that may very well be that player trying to be able to keep their team kind of in good spirits. But right now, game 1 seems to be very out of hand. Big pickup by Kami, at least to not let that one become much more on the goal line and upfield. 90 seconds a dish, but Kippo unable to at least not find the same communication with Kami as this one hangs dangerously. The pancake off there ends up being a save. Kami finds some airspace, but they're going to need a lot more, much quicker, with seconds coming off the clock much faster than they wanted to, and Butler maybe just looking at game 2 here soon.
Yep, this one's just one that you brush off. Maybe a goal in the process, right? We talked about momentum. We literally had live examples of why you score late and momentum can shift to that degree, even in a 6-2 ball game, which it would be. Or maybe a little bit more for Providence. They're still trying to strike. Meanwhile, Hinged Miner taking a little bit of time to try and get that one settled. That's over to Mudkip, but then build Sins there. It's looking like Butler's taking an approach here, though, of Cammy staying back and perhaps waiting for Providence to come to him so he can try and bounce out a 1v2 situation on the way back.
Less than a half minute. Just trying not to get Braziled. And honestly, one of those things that I think can be done better at minimum for Butler is just communication. Who's going to go for which challenges and more? Mudkippo, at least keeping nearby. 10 seconds left. Providence searching for a 7th to complete the meme dream. Oh, that one will fall nearby off the near side. You have him diving through and off the crossbar, and yet they put it at 0 seconds. So we all get a free trip to Brazil. I hope you brought your sunscreen here in late fall, as Butler will fall in game 1. Providence looking pretty good.
Yep. It felt like they were so in control that they were able to get the Brazil with 0 seconds left. So for what it's worth, a big win for Providence, and Butler will look to shake it off. In the meantime, we shake over to Newburn, facing off with Edgecombe, the regular Edge. It is dead even at 0 here. I know it's 15 seconds in, but at this point, in the nights where we've seen so many quick starts, it's kind of nice pace to kind of settle back and have a non-scoring opportunity right off the bat.
But we also have 2v2. So a completely different ball game. There's a lot more space on the pitch and a lot more boost to go around. And it's really up to individual players to isolate some of these fights. So I'm not exactly sure how this turned into what, but here we are. As you do have, is that Spider Beasky? Is that how we're going to go with that one? Versus and Vicious with Spirals and Sean, who I think you and I will definitely remember. Edge came back again and won that game 3 against Northside. So I'm going to give an early edge over to Edgecombe. But it's really been about the demo game out there and how much they want to pressure against Newburn.
Spiral and Sean, they were the two to definitely put on the field here in this 2v2 situation. They were excellent, to say the least. Also, Spider and Blasky, I'm looking at you, because if this player pops off, it's clearly just a combination of you two switching controllers. So keep an eye, keep an eyes there right now. Also keep an eyes on this very defensive battle right now in 2v2 situations. You expect, with all that extra space that you mentioned, with all the extra time that you have to make a decision, that it'd be higher scoring, and yet we're still here at 0. And a good opportunity, though, from Spider, as this one will be floated, but back they go, and a good save from Spiral.
Now, this is when you kind of set up that counter play, but you do have one player trying to go and get boost. That comes off wall. Do you feed it out? They will have to at least recover out to go and meet it. Second touch keeps it buried in the corner, looking for the back pass, but ends up just handing it off over to Spider. 2v2 is a very unforgiving style if you overexert and encroach, because exactly positions like that, Spider at least comes up the better of it, because they're the only one looking for the ball because of the corner rotation, looking for that big boost. And you're trying to keep your tank filled up as much as you can at all times, much like you would in 1v1s. Now Spiral into a 1v1. They've won that touch and now just need the slot on the outside. But they're trying to keep us on the edge of our seats here, Bears. That one went very wide of the bar.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I expected either, but again, in this 2v2 situation in best of 3, you eventually feel like someone's going to break through. And Northern Spiral. I mean, we called his name multiple times in the last series. I know you were looking for more from him in this series, too, to try and continue that consistency. And we've seen just that here as he's able to draw first blood.
All right, so that's going to be Edgecombe. That does at least get there first. And now Newburn, who was really playing a dangerous game of giveaway instead of keep away, having to deal with more of Spiral, who gets a bump. And Sean, who's just going to sled 360 into his own net, is letting their teammate do all the work. Spiral launches from off the sidewall, gets a flip reset, is able to try and carry it even further, and starting to see a lot of ego confidence really coming about from Spiral.
Yeah, he's been really turning the amplifier up to 11 as of late. So we know it goes that high because we've seen sneak peeks of it. But yeah, he's looking to pop off right now. And here's another opportunity. But Spider didn't want to mess with it, so he's able to at least chop it up and put it over to the sidewall to get the next touch. Challenge eventually comes in. Spiral will send it all the way into the corner of Newburn, trying to rotate around it. Spider trying to shadow defend as well, but Spiral was just a little bit quicker and will give Edgecombe this 2-0 lead.
Okay, 2-0. Edgecombe just kind of playing with their food and taking them right over. And if there's ever a player that I was expecting this from, it's definitely going to be Spiral. And when you look at across the plethora of our jungle gym of students, all trying to see who's playing faster, stronger in the sandpit than each other, you definitely look at a player like Spiral, and there's probably all their teammates saying, we're so happy that they're on our side. And we're going to see that across the board, especially come up into bracket play. These group stages have really been defining as to who's going to be at least the most confident running into later competition. And Spiral, I mean, they have that in spades.
Yeah, Sean stole it, though. So we'll get credit with that one, too. I didn't even broke the stream. But either way, they do get that goal. And Edgecombe continues to just roll through. Yeah, Spiral proving that he can be mechanically sound, proving that he can do it through the air, also through the ground. That was a great job to kind of carve up the defense again in this 2v2 scenario. And yeah, when you have a player that's multi-talented like that, Spirals is going to remind us a lot of the players that we've seen in the past, like a Skimmit, like a Barris, players that really do carry the weight for a team in a lot of circumstances. No discredit to Sean at all. I think he's playing a great game, and I think this squad has a great chance to do big things during the season. Just hasn't, really been anything less than a Spiral-led team at the current moment.
Instead of spiraling out of control, they're just spiraling into the winner's circle in a very authoritative manner. But this is also just one 2v2, and if you've not played a lot of 2v2, then I'm surprised, because that's pretty much the most populated playlist there is in Rocket League. But these types of games can be very much tough, especially when you have one very solid player and no answer for them. Spiral defensively finds a huge kick downfield. That will put the rest of this one on ice as they try to lay it up for their teammate of Sean, but the damage has been done, and that's going to be a fifth one over to Edgecombe. Every single score sends us just into the void here, Bear, and same for Newburn as they're looking towards the next game.
Yeah, that goal explosion is too strong. It predicts everything, apparently. And so, again, universal is what this team might be at the end of the day, too, to kind of talk to the goal explosion there. But they just seem to be one of those teams that can get it done, 2v2, 3v3 scenario, has multiple looks and will thrive in each of them. So congratulations to Edgecombe for that Game 1 victory. They have to do it again, though, and I'm not so certain it'll be that easy next time. I know they've got those strikers, but we'll see what develops. Back to Providence versus Butler. It was a big win from Providence in game number 1. And as we transition into game number 2, 2 minutes left in Providence, again up by a 3-0 mark.
Yeah, Providence in a great position. They are basically a step away from having defeated a couple of in-division rivals for the CMS division. And because of this one, if this score is maintained, they will also have qualified themselves into we'll call it 2 for themselves, as the Thursday bracket stage will be immediately in their windshield and this one in their rear view. But failed sins, I think that you and I, we're collecting these little rookie cards of these student players and really who we want to see continue to find success. I think Kami could be one of those if Butler survives group stages, but so many of these teams and so many of these players have been so effective.
They really have been. Yeah, Cammy is definitely one that I'm watching. Failed sins as well. I mean, across the board, they've been the most dynamic players. Sometimes it's easy to forget the players that make their biggest difference in comms because we just don't have access to it, right? The leadership aspect of it too. But as far as what we're able to see and calculate on the pitch, those cards, if you will, that you're saying that they're looking at right now, those are the two that I've got on mine as well. I think Debonair, it'll be interesting to see where he goes in the sense that he's been around for an extended period of time. Can he be and it contribute in a bigger way for Providence? And if that's the case, then Providence is going to be a very difficult team to deal with, a lot more so than a lot of teams might think coming into the season.
I also super appreciate both Mailbox as well as Debonair have full bronze kits on their cars. They've got the bronze crown, the bronze skin, the bronze boost. That's beautiful. That's anything I ever want to see on someone. It's exactly that. But Providence 3-0. They're going to go 2-0 here in the series. Butler going to see maybe where they math themselves out when it comes to group stages, and hopefully they got an extra chance added. But it was Providence that did the work necessary to get themselves to the bracket stage. And we go back down to it. New Bern. More of this 2v2, and they're already down 1.
All right, VESL chat, this is the last time to come alive. Edge is going to get this one 2-0 now as they bounced out pretty quickly here. It's New Bern that's needing to answer here, and they just haven't found any solutions. It continues into game 2.
I like that we're getting a sample of what Edgecombe can do whenever they're down in a power play. Because if you don't think that this is going to manifest into something that, well, you hope that disconnects don't occur. But you're definitely going to be in those moments where in plays, you're at a disadvantage. And showcasing that if you have these kind of players, you can rely on them pretty confidently, and especially with Spirals, who just keeps growing their MVP status for this Edgecombe high school squad. So first 90 seconds are dead and gone, and Sean, they're going to collect a third for this team.
Yeah, Sean, the quick pivot point right here, as you know, he could have left it for the teammate, but then it was Spider that took it down the field for New Bern. So great recognition. It can be a habit, and sometimes a good one, but not always. When you need to stay and stick into play, you don't become a spectator and just rotate out, especially in a 2v2 environment. It's very smart switch of the brain from that 3v3 to the 2v2 situation here to give them that 3-0 lead. Otherwise, it might have been a New Bern chance the other way.
This is going to be a massive clear. Oh, a clang. Big Demo had a chance right there for New Bern to finally get one on the board, but still looking at a scoreless venture, possibly the perfect sweep here in group stages. Uh-oh. Spider sends it off their own backboard, and really they're trying to abuse Spirals, a bit of the demo game to really give them an opportunity. Sean will find a free look and lets it hop outwards as he sees Spirals at least able to recover. So midway through game number 2, and this is a qualifier for Edgecombe after they were able to beat Northside to get them into the bracket stages, and it makes me all curiouser and curiouser who these guys are going to be facing off against when we finally see Thursday come around. And can't quite get the dish. Spiral, though, still hungry for another one.
That's making me curiouser if that's a word or not.
Totally is, right? Right, no?
Somebody can fact check that. I'm sure we'll have somebody from chat that'll correct us instantly. We'll see. You have to be seen. That Edgecombe will carry out. It's Sean, who has 2 goals in this one out of the 3. Looking to make a name for themselves in addition to just Spiral, Spirals has really been incredible spectacle, but Sean has been able to step up in their own rights. Spider circles around, gets a demo out in front. Now a chance to just launch it, but he launched it wide. And that was about the only angle he could take, to be fair. Now tries to continue with it, but just wasn't ready. It was vicious, as that one fell across the goal line, but he wasn't able to tap it in. With a minute 30, you feel like that was the chance to get them going, but they weren't able to execute.
Probably one of the only few ones that we're going to find developed from them. Also, a fast Google tells me Alice in Wonderland said Curiouser and Curiouser, so there we go. That's where I got it. It could be a Shakespeareanism, but here we are. Sean, looking for no free nets here. They all clips only, passes only. No reason to take any open nets. Newburn, they'll take what they can. They'll get a demo, but now they're facing into a 2v1 against Spirals, and bit of competitive integrity coming up to it. Edge knows that they've done the job. Newburn and into this 2v2. Not exactly sure about the properties of this matchup and why it ended up as it did, but it's you prepare for 3v3. You still come in and play out the 2v2, and I'm just glad to see the same kind of competitive spirit that we've been seeing all night.
They've truly given it their all in the Newburn sense. Looking like it might come up a little bit short, but at the end of the day, that full effort is going to lead you to that consistency that we talk about. It's going to lead you to the adjustments. No teams just adjust by playing their league matches, and that's it. You need to go into unranked, ranked, whatever you might go, whatever playlist you want to queue up for that'll give you the best idea. Obviously, 3v3 would be ideal, but any type of competitive games that you can throw yourself into as a full squad, like I'm talking even like stay plugged in events that really give you that competitive edge, if you will. It's Edgecombe with the win. 3-0, had to somehow find a way to transition it back, but that is a perfect sweep as it were. So Edgecombe proves that not only can they win series, they can win them large.
Oh yeah, coming out big. So that's the end of our first day, at least, of VESL broadcast for these qualifiers. And honestly, Bear, it went the way that kind of a lot of qualifiers do. You have a lot of teams, a ton of them, a massive sample size that we still have to find the true identity thereof. And when you come down to it, you finally start seeing who is siphoning themselves and getting to the top of the stack. And I think we found a lot of squads that were really worthy of getting into those upper three positions and getting themselves into that big bracket stage.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. There's a lot of teams that we've seen. Havelock, for example, was a strong team there. Even back to JP Knapp a little bit earlier in this bracket. I mean, they showed up in big moments. They've got a lot of strong players. Providence has stepped up by leaps and bounds. We already know what JT Williams is capable of, so they're pretty outstanding too. As far as other teams go, I'm trying to look through here and see, but everybody brought something to the table here tonight, and that's something that you can really build off of and say that this is just day one. If you moved on to day two, even if you didn't make it into round two by winning your entire group, if you gave yourself a shot just by advancing.
Yeah, the Kuratucks, the North Sides,
Yep.
that they're hyper competitive, and we get to see, and as well as Edgecombe, obviously, who just was able to qualify through. But I want to see the unknowns. There's so many people, so many teams and players and students that still have not been able to showcase, hey, here we are. You better be worried. We're ready to play. And I can't wait to see it because there's a lot of teams out there, and which means there's a lot of play time. But that's it for us tonight, Bear. And it was a heck of a time, but day two on the way.
Day two is going to start at the same time this one did at 6 p.m. Eastern time here on this very channel and VESL GH as well. So make sure you're following both. That way you can catch up on all the action and learn the players just as we have tonight. For Hail Monkey Man, for myself, for the entire production team behind the scenes, we wish you an excellent night. Take care, y'all.